Hello and welcome to the Deadline Day show. My name is Sam Davis. What a good start. Hey, I'm a bit all over the place because we've already just announced someone else. Tom.
Literally, as we were coming on, me and Tig said, I fancy some more now. And there he was.
More.
Oh, how'd you like it?
How'd you like it?
Literally, bang on. He's just the
Literally
Bournemouth just put it out.
Oh my goodness. AFC Bournemouth then have put out a tweet, and look, throughout the evening, we're going to be going on Twitter. We're going to be having various people coming in to chat about the various signings that we've got and lots more besides. And it's been a busy old day, Tom, hasn't it?
It has. It's been crazy. I've never known one like it. I think we're probably the busiest out of everyone in the country. It seems like that. Us and Eddie out at Newcastle. So yeah, very odd. And yeah, some really good business done. I mean, it's going to be, we'll go into them all, won't we? It's going to be really interesting to see what they bring. But it's been a few times this season where I've looked at that bench and thought, could we do with something to change it? It's a bit predictable at times. And the latest one is certainly that, isn't it?
How sorry do you feel for the AFC Bournemouth media team, Tiggs? They've been at it. This tweet went out, 1 minute ago? Anyone for more? It's a new signing for AFC Bournemouth. It's the third that's been officially revealed. It's been a hell of a day. Today. Lots of people have been very unproductive with their work.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah, three today. That's 5 in this window so far.
Yeah, Laird Hill.
Yeah. So we've still got time as well. I think it's a really odd scenario here. From what I've heard, different tinkerings, murmurings on Twitter is that we had a lot of people come in for a medical.
Yeah.
But we haven't signed all those people yet. I don't think I've ever known that to be happening in our football club. Is it someone coming for a medical and then not get signed? So
it does seem weird.
Have we let any of them out of the building yet?
I know that. I think I saw something about Nat Phillips had left. He'd only been in quickly.
Yeah.
And people were worrying that something had happened. But I saw someone, I think it might have been Jacob, actually saying that when it's loans, it's quite simpler because you can do a lot of the dealings and it's literally just in and out. Whereas maybe Kiefer Moore's taking a little bit longer because he's a permanent. And there's a few other rumours. There's a few other people knocking about as well. So
crazy. It is crazy.
Oh, I'm loving it. It's a bit better than last year, mate. Shane Long Day.
Have you known a deadline day like it? It's. I mean, it's. You know what though? We talk about this, and Nick. I think it was AFC Bournemouth fan Nick Case though. He did put out a very good tweet, which I think you retweeted, saying it's all very well, all these names that we're being linked with. However, they've got to play within this rigid formation that Scott Parker's got in place. Will they have a chance to express themselves?
Well, like you say, at the moment, certainly of late, it's looked like that. I think a lot of us have said it, as particularly about people like Ryan Christie, who you feel like just needs a bit more freedom to go and express himself. And he's so disciplined and regimented on that side. And yeah, we're bringing in, it sounds like a few more real creative players as well and different types of players. So it'll be interesting. But let's remember the start of the season as well. It's all positivity today. And yeah, it was... I know what you mean, but I think there's certain times, as I mentioned at the start, that I feel like it's like for like changes because we haven't got a lot to change here when I look at the subs bench. And no disrespect to these sort of players, but like on the weekend we had Mariah Welsh on the bench and then we've had Morgan Rogers who hasn't really done it. And it'll be nice to have some real quality on the bench. But yeah, we've got a hell of a squad now. No excuses, mate. No excuses.
How many games left this season?
Oh, crumbs. I don't know. Well,
we're
more
just
than
over half.
half.
Yeah,
17, 18 or something.
Yeah.
And it's, it should be enough time. And look, I mean, transfers have been, like Newcastle have been heavily involved in their transfer dealings. We've got Woodman, of course, but also they've been signing a load of players as well. I think all over football, there have been a couple of clubs that have been going mad for it, and we're one of them.
Yeah, unusual, especially compared to last year, where you two fellas waited all day.
For Shane Long. Oh, he was brilliant, wasn't he? But yeah, it has been odd, especially when, like you say, the other club is Eddie's club as well. So it's like it feels like I'm interested in everything that's going on. Yeah, it's good and nice. Obviously, we wanted a keeper with an island situation, so nice of Eddie to drop him off. That will be a real interesting one though, because once again, our goalkeeper was our best player at the weekend, in my opinion. So yeah. It's interesting that we've got another one in, but I guess from Parker's point of view, if Nyland's out for virtually the season,
we've got to have someone good, haven't you?
We've got to have someone in there. So we've got a good one because he was blooming good at Swansea last year, wasn't he? Woodman.
Absolutely. There's 200 people watching us now. Really appreciate everyone that's joined us. Over 200. And look, you could all really help us out right now by hitting the thumbs up button. And if you've seen us tweet our YouTube link or our Twitter, Periscope stream, whatever, we'll just give it a quick retweet. That would really help. Oh, he's doing it now. You're doing it now. Because what it does, it helps us get in front of more eyes. And look, there's a lot of attention on AFC Bournemouth today, and rightly so. And let's go back from the very beginning of the day, Tom.
Yep.
I can't even remember who was the first one. Was it Freddie Woodman was the first one that was confirmed for us?
Yeah, it was. And that seemed to come about kind of since the weekend, didn't it, really, that we heard about Nyland's injury. And there was the only goalkeeper linked, wasn't he, really, Woodman?
Yeah.
But it sounds like Woodman was nailed in the summer.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed.
But why didn't it happen again?
It was a COVID situation at Newcastle, wasn't
That's
it?
right, yeah.
And suddenly, it was Steve Bruce at the time, needed him back. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because you're thinking, if that hadn't happened, Travers may never have got a look in.
That's weird.
And he's been so good. So, but it's nice. There was obviously kind of maybe already things in play where they said, come back in January with the COVID all cleared up and we'll let him go on loan. Because it was literally just spoke about at the weekend. It's got done straight away. It was the first one, as you say. And he is highly rated. So it's an interesting one because what I was saying to Tiggs before we come on, that he ain't going to go from one bench to the other. Surely he feels like he's got more of a chance here.
Well, that's it. But okay, let's just do a quick straw poll, right? If you're going to name a top 3 players of the season, Dom Solanke's one of them.
Yeah.
Mark Travers.
So Mark Travers is...
And then Zamora for me.
Yeah, and then Zamora, right?
Yeah.
Does that not undermine Travers by bringing him in? And if you're going to start Woodman straight away, how does that make him feel?
I don't know what you think. I don't think he was going to start him straight away. I mean, that'd be madness. But the fact is, we've got a cup game at the weekend, so he will start. But Travers wouldn't have played anyway. It would have been Nyland if he was fit. The only time I'll talk about this as a bad thing would be we play Bournemouth and he does fine, and then he suddenly plays in the league.
Yeah.
Because then I'll be really if he's come in to just breathe down his neck and get a couple of cup games in, because you like to think we'll get past Bournemouth and he'll get another cup game, and he's outstanding and Travers makes a few errors, then that's a different story. But Travers should just be thriving off the competition, I think, because he's proven himself this season, hasn't he? He's had to replace Begovic, who was unbelievable.
Unbelievable, I know.
He stepped up.
We could be in a situation where we've got 3 goalkeepers every year in a row being our player of the season, from Ramsdale, Begovic to now.
No.
But the other interesting thing about it is the Woodman deal. I saw a tweet from Townswell, I think it was, and he was saying the reason we're interested in him is actually his distribution.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, so it's about his playing from the back essentially as well. Now, it's not something of Travis's game that really sticks out for me. He's been incredible when called upon, which is what I want to see from a goalkeeper. But so that would make me a little bit sad if the reason that Woodman got the nod ahead is that because he can pass the ball out a little bit better. That would be a bit, wouldn't it?
But maybe that is a thing of you've got to get better at this, otherwise this man can step in. But I agree with you. I don't think he's been poor with distribution, but it hasn't been a standout that he's really like that's his. See, it's similar to Arsenal, isn't it? They had a decent goalie in Leno, and they were all happy, but they wanted Ramsdale because he can play with his feet.
Yeah,
and that's the kind of way the modern goalkeepers go. And I always felt like it started when Pep went to City. And he got rid of Joe Hart straight away. Yeah. And he brought in that Bravo.
Oh, yeah.
It was an awful goalkeeper, but he could kick it.
Different type of player.
And that's how it's going. But, nothing wrong with competition, mate. As long as Travers you've said to him, you've got the one until, you have it, unless you give it up yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's yours to lose. Then I'm happy.
I've just realised, Tiggs, we obviously didn't get the memo with the whole yellow colour thing.
Glad you spotted it.
Well,
I do have a yellow t-shirt, actually. I just forgot to put it on.
Of course you did.
We are so Sky Sports, aren't we? Here,
we are Sky Sports. Friend of the show, Mark McAdam.
Yeah, well, you know what, and let's talk about the people that may be coming on today, because we're trying to make this a show where you can take part in chat. But hopefully, we'll have Jack from the Bournemouth Daily Echo, Ahmed Shubal. Fingers crossed, we'll have Chris Reeve from Norwich City, who might be able to give us a TNC take on Todd Cantwell, who's rumoured to be at Dean Court. Is it Dean Court going on chatting? He could have gone to what? Olympiacos?
Olympiacos, yeah.
Chose Bournemouth. We're massive. Europa League. Who needs it? Also, Mark McAdam, Benjamin Bloom's going to pop in later on as well. Hopefully, speaking to Gabriel Sutton as well. None of these are going to turn up now, are they? It's going to be absolutely awful. Jacob Tanswell's outside Dean Court at the moment, freezing himself off. I'm absolutely certain. Oh, Tom's got a tweet. Go on.
It's actually not anything kind of in terms of movements coming towards, but we've been linked with the Blackpool winger Josh Bowler. And Chris Temple has just put out saying that we are not signing him despite reports. He was on our list, but we've moved for other targets. So.
I love the fact we've got a list. I really hope it's written in crayon.
Yeah. Do you remember when we were Tim Pot, little on Bournemouth? But yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, I don't know an awful lot about him. I know he's been one of Blackpool's better players.
Scored at the weekend, didn't he?
Yes, he did. I remember thinking he was quite now I've known which player he was in that game where we let a 2-goal lead slip, didn't we, against Blackpool? And I remember him being quite good. But we've got enough in them areas. I think maybe that makes you think that Dembele's probably definitely going to come, because he's a bit more of a wide man, isn't he, Dembele? So
yeah, do you know much about him?
he seems like he's a box of tricks. He does seem like he's a box of tricks when I've seen him, but I know he was good last season, League One, but because I remember we were linked with him and Clark Harris.
Yeah.
Who now they're trying to get rid of and can't get rid of him. But I don't know. It seems a weird one from Peterborough, because I'm thinking if you're Peterborough, you're in a real relegation dogfight. You don't want to lose anyone now, but I think he's one of them out of contract in the season. There were talks of them being one of the clubs that might go for Morgan Rogers.
Okay,
which would make a bit of sense. To be honest with you, we've joked with Morgan Rogers. I think if he went somewhere and played week in, week out, at like a Peterborough, a lower team in the Championship, and played in a team that are very counter-attack, and just were told to just burst his, he might do all right. And I kind of want him to go elsewhere for him.
Yeah.
And we'll always have memories of Luton away, won't we?
Yeah.
He's done a typical Robo Raquel, hasn't he? Come in, scored a goal off the bench, and that's it, really.
I think that you could argue that we've been shackled.
Yeah.
You could argue that, we're trying to play Mr. Parker's trying to play a certain style of football that might not suit him from what we know about him previously.
Yeah.
About the Dembele thing, I think hopefully getting Neil Dawson on it later on today, tonight. But he was saying one thing that's really interesting about him is the age of that player. I don't think Dembele's a particularly young player.
Which one?
If anyone knows in chat, I think he was he 26? I mean, if he is, then that's, to be going up to the Premier League at that age, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. So is this a squad? Is this a short-term squad? Get the job done. We need to get up, boys. Or is this, or are we signing players with the intention of playing in the Premier League? It's really interesting.
Potentially. The only thing that probably makes me think slightly different is that we could have gone all out for Tom Lawrence.
Yes.
And the reason I think we haven't is because he's 29 nearly. And so maybe there's a little bit more in that. But I also think that I guarantee Tom Lawrence is on bigger wages than everyone else. Yeah. And as soon as Rooney turned down Everton, I thought there's no way he must have been told Lawrence won't go.
Yeah.
But no, I can't say I know a lot about Dembele's. I've always felt like he seems very similar to Jamal Lowe, a wide player that can play through the middle, got a bit of pace. But he'll put a bit of pressure on people like Jane Anthony that now. We have said we're probably lacking a bit in width with Julia's injuries and obviously Brooksy's situation. So, excited to see him, but he's not someone that screams will start straight away. No. Dembele, not for me. Probably the only ones that do are maybe Nat Phillips and Cantwell, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Kiefer Moore if we go 2 up, who knows?
Keith Moore. We've got some independent takes on what's going on today, and we're pleased today to be able to bring in Gabe Sutton. Hello, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, right, folks. Good to see you.
You are the person who knows about all things Championship, all things football. How you know about all the stuff, we will never, ever know. But we can take out and you can talk and wax lyrical about them. We're absolutely certain. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm glad to hear I can talk a good game. It sounds like the mask of invincibility is still on.
It certainly is. And whilst you're here as well, we'll bring in the one and only Benjamin Blue.
Hey, Ben, how are you?
I haven't spoken to Gav for months and months. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, pal.
Yeah, good. Sorry, Sam. Go on.
Let them to have a catch-up, I said.
There was a pandemic, so I haven't been to a game with him for about 2.5 years.
Absolutely love it. But guys, whilst you are here, what we will do is talk about one of the signings that we have confirmed. And to do that, we've got Ross Chandley here from the Red Men TV. Ross, how you doing, fella?
Good, thanks yourselves.
Very well. Bournemouth are ripping up the transfer window today, mate, we've got to say. And look, we need some insight on this particular fella that is now going to be sporting red and black until the end of the season. Can you tell us anything about him, Ross?
Yeah. First of all, it's a very good loan deal for you. I'm shocked in many ways that another club hasn't come in for him in the Premier League. Look at the likes of Brighton, who are selling Dan Burn. I think West Ham are interested in centre half. Newcastle, another team. He's just someone who Liverpool haven't been able to shift for quite a while. Obviously, his heroics last season when we were short on 4, 5, 6, 7 central defenders and then 2 midfielders. They went in there and then they ended up going in. Just a solid centre half. You've got someone who's very good. I'd say better than Championship level. He's no nonsense. Put his body on the line, do the hard yards. Nothing phases him. There's clips of him turning the San Siro inside out from a couple of months ago. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And the levels that he's gone up in the recent months under Liverpool in a highly pressured situation to try and get Liverpool into the top 4 and finish third in the end. He played a huge part in that. So yeah, you got yourselves a good little deal there.
What would you say, Ross, about this kind of the modern style is that play out from the back in it? And we try and do it And I was thinking about it earlier because we've got Lloyd Kelly, who's the captain, so we expect him to stay in. And we've got Gary Cahill, who, until recently, has been, obviously, everyone knows about Gary Cahill, a solid player. But do you reckon Nat Phillips is maybe a little bit better on the ball? I can't say I know too much, but I know he's an aerial presence and a big guy. Is he good on the ball?
I don't think it's his game, but I think he's had to adapt to that. So when Liverpool found themselves in that situation last season, as I mentioned before, Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip, whoever else, then Henderson, Fabinho, obviously played centre-half and got injured. There was loads of calls from Liverpool fans just play Nat Phillips and Reece Williams, it was at the time, just play them because they're central defenders, but they didn't know our system. They didn't play out from the back. They didn't play that high line. So I think there was a lot of training, obviously, off the pitch to drill that into them. But again, that comes with confidence and experience. So I wouldn't say it's his natural game. In fact, Gary Cahill's a pretty good comparison. I think Nat Phillips, I would say, is just a younger version of him in terms of style of playing and what he's about. But I think he's added another string to his bow in the sense of he had to play out from the back because that's the way that Liverpool play. And if he didn't play that, he'd get caught out. So I think there's levels of experience. I think something he's had to adapt to and something that he can get better at. And, at Bournemouth, I think he can play that way.
There's a number of different clubs apparently linked with him. We weren't the only ones in. It's kind of caught us a little bit on the back foot, isn't it, lads? We didn't kind of expect this one coming. Do you know about any other clubs that wanted him?
I said before, I think Newcastle were obviously earmarked. I think they still need a centre half, unless they've done anything in the past couple of hours. It seems to be a bit wild, this transfer window. Leeds United, I think, were another one. Leicester, I think, were a team mentioned again that needed centre half. It wouldn't surprise me that Everton should have been in that conversation, but they weren't. So this goes back to last season as well. In the summer, I think there was a lot of clubs touted Championship. Serie A teams were interested in him as well in recent months as well. But I think what Liverpool want for him was just too high. So I think that's fine last season because obviously we've come out the back of COVID and clubs still weren't sure what was kind of going on. I think part of the reason why today is so busy, I think we're in a different position than we have been in the past 2 years. In a sense, I think clubs are a bit more confident in the way that the economy is moving and the fact that we're all in stadiums and, without jinxing it, I think we're a bit more secure. So people are being a bit more, happy spending with the money and what they can and can't do. So whether Liverpool's price is just too high for what Nat Phillips wants, but he's desperate for game time, he can either put himself in the shop window. We obviously, over recent years, got a very good relationship with you guys, and you just give us loads of money for players that we don't want. Basically,
Cheers, thanks for reminding us.
Sorry, but I think football will do him good if he can get himself confident and can play regular football. Because now Van Dijk and Matip are back, and we bought Canate in the summer. He's just found himself down that pecking order. So I'm guessing there'll be a lot of bargaining going on. But as I said, I think the deal works out for everybody. We get him off our books. We free up a bit of space, bit of wages. He gets experience, gets football. If it works out, he puts himself in a shop window. His price goes up. You guys hopefully get promoted, and you want to keep him. And if not, there'll be other clubs that are interested in him because centre halves are very hard to come by and decent ones at that. So. Nat Phillips, I think, is a solid buy. I think he's just because of his age and where he's been and what he's kind of not done. I don't think if he had the situations he did at Liverpool, I don't think he'd be high as a priority. So he's playing like Bundesliga 2 and stuff like that, and just never really kind of kicked on. But like I said, that might be a circumstance of like football's gone and the type of footballer he is. But there's loads of teams that I think he would have Burnley's another team. Surprised they weren't all over him.
We're massive, aren't we?
We are massive. Ross, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Hopefully, we'll be joining you and Pajak and Machin on the previews next season. Who knows, mate? Fingers crossed. Best wishes for this season, mate. Anyway, and
just before I go as well, if you get Nico Williams as well on loan, which I believe isn't quite just dead just yet. Another really good deal for you guys as well. Again, I think he's fallen victim to playing behind the best right back in world football, in my obviously biased opinion. But I think it's someone else, same as Nat Phillips, needs game time, would do absolute wonders for you. So fingers crossed, if you get him, he does the bits for you as well.
Ross Chandley from the Red Men, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Cheers,
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Benjamin and Gabe, sorry to keep you waiting, but this guy's he's got very limited time, and here he is. He's probably back on Sky Sports News any second. Mark McAdam, how are you, fella?
Yeah, fantastic, guys. Great to see you.
It's been a busy one for you today. It's fair to say.
Yeah, my alarm went off at 3 o'clock this morning. I was in Sky for about 3:30. And what are we now? My brain won't do the maths, but 17, 18 hours later, we're still going strong. A little mini break at the moment because Carve and Darmesh are on for the transfer show between 8 and 9. And then we're back on with some EFL hits and bits and bobs between 9 and 10 and 10 and 11. And if I'm lucky, I might get out around midnight, but we'll have to wait and see.
I don't want you to get out too soon, Mark. Is there any more coming? Because I mean, I'm starting to get really greedy now. I want 10. How many more? Any more little murmurings?
If this hasn't been a deadline day made by Carlsberg, then I don't know what is. It's literally been just incredible, and I think the standard in who cares about watching AFC Bournemouth matches in the Championship? I just want to watch the training games. The strength in depth that is at Scott's disposal is just truly incredible, and I think obviously. Very different. Bournemouth have always signed players on deadline day. They've never been afraid to do business. I say it every single window. The board always backs the manager. They always support the manager as and when they possibly can. They always spend money where they can. And clearly over the course of the summer and this window, they've backed Scott. They've tried to help him and bring in the players he wants to sign. And I just think I'm still sort of taking it all in myself. I'm a Bournemouth fan, as everyone knows, and I get excited when we do business. And I'm particularly excited about a couple of the players we signed. But I try and look at it with a level head as well. But today, I've not been able to focus properly on work because I've been so desperately trying to keep across what's happening down on the south coast. So yeah, it's been bizarre but brilliant. And I hate to ruin the party because you three look like you're having a party.
I'm not a Bournemouth fan,
mate. Be any surprises
me and Ben are neutrals.
Or names that we haven't heard linked with the club at this stage. I do think we are where we are, but as you always say, this is deadline day and anything is possible.
Yeah, anything does seem to be possible. We've been caught. I just said this already, but we've been kind of caught a little bit off guard. So some of the names that have appeared in the last 24 hours are not the names that we've been linked with in other parts of this window, certainly the beginning of it. And we did our business. We thought we'd done our business really early. We got 2 in with Hill and Laird. So yeah, it's a little bit odd to be signing so many. Are we looking at any going out though, Mark?
Well, no, at this stage. That was my kind of automatic perception was we're signing a lot of players and we've got a lot of good players in the same position. So naturally you'd be thinking, does that mean that Dom's going to go? Does that mean we're going to lose Lloyd? Does that mean, we're going to lose someone else? And I kind of asked the questions and got told, no, we're absolutely not planning to lose anyone. We want to keep this squad together. We want to keep our best players at the football club. Clearly, the board and Maxim feel this is a huge opportunity to get back to the Premier League. So the last thing you want to do is start losing your good quality players. Obviously, at the end of the day, finance dictates what happens in football, sadly. But at this stage, what are we coming up to 8:30 with, 2.5 hours to go? Touch wood, it doesn't look like we're going to lose anyone.
God, it's not a bad day, is it? Not been a bad day.
It's not a bad day at the office. Hey, look, Mark, I expect you've got to get back to it, but
I've got about 10 minutes, guys, so feel free to chat away for 10 minutes and then I'll disappear.
No worries. Well, I want to bring in Benjamin Bloom, who's been waiting, and also Gabe as well. And look, Ben, you are a person that is neutral. You leave your bias at the door, as you like to say every single week. Looking on as an outsider, what's been your view of what we've been doing today?
Well, I'd be very excited were I a Bournemouth fan, and it looks a little bit like, perhaps this was the plan all along, because the decks were cleared, weren't they, with Ake and Wilson and all of that money coming in, and maybe some historic debts and whatnot needed to be sorted out then. And it looks like we know the parachute money drops quite severely going into the third year. It looks very much like, right, go for it now. And they weren't going to back Jason Tindall, and they weren't really going to back Jonathan Woodgate. That seemed short-term sort of thinking. The only, and I don't want to rain on all your strawberries, the only worry I've got is how many is too many. And can you unsettle? And we've just been chatting about Tino Asprilla, meaning that Peter Beardsley had to play on the right wing in that Newcastle team, and splitting up Beardsley and Ferdinand. And I don't know whether 2 or 3 is better than 4 or 5. But look, Woodman was very good for Swansea, wasn't he? And can use his feet back there. Phillips, like your Liverpool guy said, is he better than Cahill or Kelly? Does he give you an option to go to a 3? And he can play right centre back in a 3. So there is that as well. Cantwell, if you can get his head right, there's definitely a player there. And Kiefer Moore, and I'd be really interested in your guys' take on this. Scott Parker always plays one up top. So is Kiefer Moore being brought for minute 65 if you're not winning? Get it in there, get the big man on there. And I suspect he'd link up very nicely with your left back Zamura as well, getting down the line and sticking crosses in. So they're all really good championship ready players. It looks like you're going for it before it drops to the year 3 parachute payment. The only question I've got is 5 too many, and can it unsettle?
I do agree with that. I was going to say to Gabriel as well. I saw him put a tweet earlier, and I thought he was right in the sense that the only thing that I like Kiefer Moore, I really like Kiefer Moore, but we put balls in the box? Very rarely. We always play one up top.
Yeah,
we're going to have to change the way we play quite a lot, in my opinion, to get a forward in Kiefer Moore, 3.5 million. Plan B. I'm not sure. What do you think, Gabe? How do you think we're going to utilise him?
I'm going to have to put a bit of a downer on this evening. I know you gents have been having a bit of a party, and I appreciate that, and I can understand why you're a bit excited. Yeah. I don't think that the kind of business Bournemouth have been doing, sort of panic, last-ditch deadline day, January, I don't think that's how you sustainably build success at a football club. I believe that you look, what's our style of play, and then you sign players fundamentally in the summer that specifically suit that style of football, that formation, what that coach's identity is. And then you build from there. I believe in promoting sometimes from the under 23 so that you can kind of have a conveyor belt type method. I believe in not necessarily panic buying in January, because players only tend to be available at an absolute premium in January. And I think that this is very much a results-driven bit of business from Bournemouth. It's, can we just get up and ask questions later? I don't think that's a good way of running a football club. I believe that the best way of running a football club is by making sensible decisions that are in the long-term interests of the club, not necessarily just looking at the bottom line for this season. So I can understand why there's excitement. But listen, Todd Cantwell, he's kind of a wide playmaker. He's someone who'll drift in from the left and sort of become a playmaker at times. How do you reconcile that with having a target man in Kiefer Moore who likes long balls and crosses? That doesn't make sense for me. And just when I look at the players that Bournemouth are bringing in, I don't know how it's all going to come together. And when you add that to the fact that these players are moving at late notice, they've got no time to settle in, they're being asked to make an impact straight away when they've got to move house, move their families, all these personal arrangements. I think that's really questionable. And I agree with Ben's point about disrupting the balance. And I think that Bournemouth have actually overdone it a little bit, in my opinion.
Should we shut that to Mark? Go on, Mark. What do you think? You're a little bit on the inside, a little bit. What do you think? So I think there's some good points from Gabriel there. We are excited, but there are a few things, like you mentioned with Todd Cantwell and Kiefer Moore, that don't seem to make sense. How's that going to work? What do you think?
Yeah, no, Gabe makes some excellent points. I think one of these situations, particularly within a transfer window, you don't know when the phone's going to go. You don't know who's going to be chucked your way. I think the Todd Cantwell situation wasn't in the plan. But when you get offered a player of his quality very late on and you feel like he's better than what you've got, why would you turn that down? So I think that was the situation there. I think there's been a fairly long-standing interest in Kiefer Moore. I think to just label him as a target man is a little bit disrespectful. I've watched Kiefer for a number of years, particularly when he first broke onto the scene down the road at Yeovil. He can play with his feet. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's not just chuck it into the box and get on the end of it. I think there's a lot more to his game, and he's very good at linking up play, dropping into that 10 role, holding the ball up, getting it out wide, and playing on the deck as well. So I definitely think that that's important to remember. It's not just the Steve Fletcher, get the ball in the box and hope he gets on the end of it with his head. So I think that's the situation there. And I guess really this is, where Scott's paid the big bucks to make these decisions, to find a nice blend to the team, to make sure everyone gels. He obviously knows that there's a lot of games coming up, Saturday, Tuesday. He obviously watches a lot of training, so he knows what the current players can do. Sorry, say that again.
Dembele's just been announced.
Yeah, just seen it.
Fantastic news. Yeah, Siriki Dembele. That was a medical very early this morning. The deal was going back and forth for quite a while between Peterborough and Bournemouth on that one. At one stage, you weren't sure if we'd get it done, but clearly, obviously, it's been completed now. So another player. I've watched Dembele for a number of years at Peterborough. Really exciting player. He's one of those players that can just do something a bit different, get the crowd off their feet, open up a defence. He reminds me a little bit of Maxi Gradle. Remember the way Max used to just get the stadium going? He'd just do something. Or Ryan Fraser. He would just get the ball at his feet. He'd drive at the fullback. He'd take someone on. He'd go past a couple of people and then have a shot, a goal, set up a goal, and just provide that spark, a little bit different as a player. So, yeah, obviously the Dembele stuff was a little bit late. I think there's no secret there was an interest in Tom Lawrence. There's no secret there was an interest in Joe Rothwell at Blackburn as well. And I think what the club had in this window was they had, positions they'd like to strengthen, and they had targets, and they had a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. And if one didn't work, they went and got another one. And if that didn't work, they went and got the other one that they wanted. And they were quite precise in their targets and the players that were available. And I know people will look at it and think, well, you've got a lot of players here and a lot of players are coming in, and how's it going to work? And what's the makeup of the team going to be like? And how many people are going to be unhappy? And I think what they've done, and this is something that Scott did at Fulham, he wanted options. He wanted a strong bench. He wanted competition for places. And he wanted to have a lot of players at his disposal. And now clearly Bournemouth have got that. So, and I think they're all different as well. Todd's very different to Sakiri Dembele. Who's very different to Keith Moore. And of course, Nat Phillips, again, very different as well as a centre-half. So we've got different players. And I think a makeup of different players can only be a good thing because it just keeps everyone on their toes. It keeps everyone fighting for the jersey. And hopefully we can, have a really strong second half to the season.
Amazing. Thank you, Mark. That sort of cheered me up a little bit there. With Benjamin, need to ask you, actually, has anyone ever done this before? Signed this many players in one transfer window? Because it just feels like a lot to us. I know you've got that incredible brain of yours where you remember everything. And then also, I would love to ask you about the fella from Peterborough a little bit more as well.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest every August, I think. But no, in January, no. I mean, Mark might know better than me doing that job, but I don't recall 4 or 5. And this comes back to Gav's point, where it's 4 or 5 first team ready players in a year 2 parachute team that are third in the league. So yeah, that's. I don't know whether the chat will come up with a. With an example, but lad from Peterborough again, and it's weird because he actually played left wing back as well in League One, Dembele, but it was Gab will be better at this than me, but it was a front 3 with Johnson, Clark, Harris, Dembele, and Sam Smodic, and I have to say they ripped my team Ipswich an absolute new one at Portman Road. So, but. Again, to the point that Mark was making, and a lot of your boys in the chat are saying 3-5-2. Okay, in which case Dembele's a 10, or he's a support striker, or is he a left wing back? No, you've got Zemira, who's very, very good, obviously. But in a 4-3-3, now you're like, okay, Billing, Christie, Dembele if he's coming in, Cantwell. Stanislas if he gets fit, Anthony. This is the issue: is that there's a million options, and I'll just go back to my previous point. How many options is too many options? And Todd Cantwell will certainly vouch for the fact that when he was in at Norwich, there was a point where they won 8 straight games, getting promoted in 2018-19. Didn't change the team once, and sometimes that's just the way. Find the team and stick with it. But I do agree with all the people in the chat saying, look, do you want more good players or less good players? You want more good players. So it's now how they're utilised. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see whether we do get a change of strategy from Parker. And the last point I make, with a parachute team, it's binary. You either get promoted or you don't. It's that simple. And if he gets up with an own goal in the 121st minute of the playoff final, job done, however many players are signed. And I do agree with Gab, that is short-termist, but there's 100 million quid TV money at the end of it if you do it. So you can understand why this may be being done now. Whether you agree with that or not, in terms of a long-term philosophical approach to running the football club, is arguable. So, sorry, Gab.
No, I was going to say, and agree. I agree with Gab as well. I think probably when the season started, we were expecting a slower build actually, and even we weren't expecting the run that we've got, which other people may think is a little bit naive, parachute money, etc., etc. But we lost some players, and we were playing our youth players, bringing in Anthony Zamora, Travers, Kilkenny. We weren't expecting the run that we actually went on. And I think Bournemouth fans all thought it was going to be a build over a little while because we were giving the youth a chance. And as it happened, we've got to January, we've got a real good chance. And as we have often seen, Barnsley in as a good example of where they are at the moment. And I don't think we're going to be in that kind of situation because of the owner that we've got. But if you don't take your chance when you get it, if you don't reinforce now, I mean, you could go up to the Premier League and we could sell, quite a few of our players down to championship clubs. I don't know. It's a difficult situation to be in that respect. But I'd rather roll the dice now and take the chance while we've got a very generous owner.
But then, if I can just sort of counter that point a little bit, Derby County were in some very good situations between 2014 and 2019 when they were in the playoffs, or I think one of the seasons they just missed out. But generally, they were there or thereabouts. And the thinking from there was, well, we've got a good squad. Let's spend lots of money to try and improve on that. And now 5-7 years down the line, they're suffering the consequences of that, and now they need a takeover. So I don't believe in changing your business model just because you're second or third in the table. I think that you have your business model and you stick to it consistently. Siriki Dembele, I can see why there's an appeal there because he's very skillful, very agile, very quick. I don't think he was necessarily extremely consistent in League One for Peterborough. I think that he had some really good moments, some real 10 out of 10 performances. But actually, in terms of his sort of bar, I'm not sure that that's enough for a side that's got ambitions of getting into the Premier League and such. So I do have some reservations. I can see I'm not going to begrudge at you for being excited because you've signed 4 or 5 good players. Of course, you want good players at your football club, and I totally get that. I'm just a little bit sceptical as well.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Well, I tell you what, we're going to switch up. Mark McAdam, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you announce 3 or 4 new players before the end of the play today. You never know.
Who knows? Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime. It's a bit of a deadline day ritual to come and join you boys. So I had to make sure I find a little bit of time in my schedule to come and say hello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Can I ask you boys a question, Sam?
Yeah, go on. Go for it.
If Fulham weren't scoring 74 goals and possibly disappearing into the distance, which kind of means there's only one automatic promotion place. Come on, be honest. They're going to be in one of the 2 places, likely. Do you think you'd only be signing a couple of players then?
You know what? To answer that question, I'm going to bring in pod regular Neil Dawson with us as well. Neil, meet Benjamin Bloom and Gabe Sutton, football gods when it comes to anything football related. Neil, you heard that question. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I love in transfer day yellow, Sam.
It has to be done.
I'm the best.
I'm gonna turn sideways and talk to you like Harry Redknapp out of a car window.
Wind the window down. Come on.
What was the question?
Go on, Ben.
Well, we're talking about the volume of signings and, Gab's sort of raising the point of, whether it's 2 all in. And the question I was just sort of asking is, if the idea is that Fulham, with all their goal power and with Mitrovic and Wilson and Carvalho, etc., are taking one of those automatic promotion places, is it arguable that Bournemouth are signing more players because of that? Do you know what I mean? And maybe if it was a more open title race, look, it can change, can't it? Would they be just looking at 1 or 2 in just to supplement?
I think so. I think Scott Parker came in fairly late, didn't he, in the summer? So I think I think if you look at this group of players, predominantly they failed under Eddie in the last season. They underperformed under Jason Tyndall. They didn't do it when it mattered with Jonathan Woodgate. So I think you could argue always round that once you've done it under 3 managers, you have to start looking at the players. And I think what we've seen recently is they've got a soft mentality, and we've seen that in recent defeats. They lose to teams that they shouldn't lose against. And I think Scott Parker thought enough's enough. He pretty much said it after the whole game. It's going to be a busy week for our recruitment team, which was as damning a message as you can give a group of players. And I think I think he would have done this anyway, regardless of Fulham's position. I think he's replacing players that have got a soft mentality. And if you look at the type of players that he's signed, he's bringing in players with a stronger mentality. And I think the other thing, to Gabe's point, I'm not convinced they'll all play anyway, because I think Kiefer Moore will be he won't play. I can't see him playing Moore and Solanke together. So I think Moore's a replacement and a 65th minute player, as you called him.
£3.5 million for a 65th minute player, though, Neil. Does that not seem a bit excessive?
No, seriously, I think we need a backup striker, and that's probably the going rate for a backup striker. And
we got over 5 million for Sam Surridge, remember?
Yeah. So yeah, 1.5 million more for him. I think Dembele's not a guaranteed starter. I think Campbell will start when fit, but according to Norwich fans, he's not yet fit. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. But I think when he does play, it might release Christie to play in the number 8 role that we were trying to sign Lawrence for. So there's a few bits that we can do around the piece. But I think I don't think 6 players coming in, or 5 or 6 players coming in, because we've still got Ethan Laird as well, obviously, who's not started yet. So it's really a much bigger transfer window than we're probably talking about today. But I think they will come in bit by bit. I don't think we'll go in 2 weeks' time for the Blackpool or Birmingham City game and see 6 changes. It just won't happen.
Be interested to see more of your thoughts on this, Gabe. But I understand you're a busy man today. I'm sure we'll see a lot of reaction from you. Whereabouts can people see your work and find you on Twitter?
Sure, yeah, you can follow me on the hashtag, the account here at Gab Sutton. I also do a show called EFL Debate, where I speak to fans, players, managers, owners, all around sort of EFL clubs. You can follow that via the hashtag EFL Debate. I did a great interview with might not make me too popular in these parts, the Portsmouth manager, Danny Cowley. I don't know whether you see Portsmouth as rivals, but I did interview him. So it's been great fun. So you can follow me at Gab Sutton and via the hashtag EFL Debate.
Cheers, Gab.
Gab.
Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you coming on. And also, I'm sure there'll be a reaction from you, Bennett, at some point with regards to what's gone on your channel. Is that right?
Yeah, we've been on a couple of times today. I'm too long in the tooth for this now, Sam. I just thought, right, I'm done by 8 p.m. because someone will do something dumb at 10:30 and put a deal memorandum in, and we'll still be here at 1 a.m. So I was like, I'll get it done. And then I thought I'd speak to you guys as well just before. I've got one more question for you. If you sign all these guys, and you get promoted, how many of these players would immediately be sold in the transfer window back to the Championship in August?
Should we put that one to Dawson?
Go on, Neil. Go on, Neil.
I made that point on the forum earlier. I mean, really, Dembele is not. If you get to 26 and you're not playing Championship football, you're not a Premier League footballer, I would suggest. I know we could point to someone like Mark Pugh, but I think he was part of an exceptional team. I don't think he was ever probably a Premier League footballer in his own right. Woodman, isn't a Premier League footballer. I don't think Kiefer Moore will bully Premier League centre halves. So there is a real element here that this is it's the only sort of worry I've got in my head is, Campbell could be a Premier League footballer. Nat Phillips could be a Premier League footballer. I think the rest are Championship footballers that are putting a squad together to get us up. Be really weird though to bring all these players in, go up, and then ship them all out in August. But I don't think we're not signing young talent that could make it in the Premier League.
There's a player in every promoted squad that plays over 30 games that immediately gets sold the next season. I think, do you remember Barry Douglas for Wolves? Got up and immediately got sold. There's always. We
had two, Tommy Elphick and Jan Kermorgant, who were outstanding players for us in the Championship. It never ever looked like they could ever play in the Premier League. Brett Pittman as well.
Yeah, Brett Pittman.
That's it.
Oh
yeah,
he did. Yeah,
he's available now, and we might end up getting him in. You never know.
Get a band back together.
Yeah, get them all back. Get them all back.
Is he not a Rovers? Is he not playing at Bristol Rovers?
He's up for transfer though. I think they've said he's available. I don't think he's playing week in, week out. No, I saw loads of Bristol Rovers fans saying that he's a bit overweight and stuff like that yesterday. So I don't know, but he has got a few goals from him still. When I last looked, but I don't know. I'd settle for Kiefer Moore, I think, rather than getting old Brett back. But there's a sentimental part of me that would love him back. Actually,
yeah, I know, me too. Ben, really appreciate you coming on. Well, I mean, people know already.
They should do.
And you know what? If you're not subscribed to Ben already, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just search Benjamin Bloom on YouTube and hit that little red button. He'll really appreciate it. Pumping out some really good content, focusing on the Championship especially. Really good stuff in it, Tex.
Yeah, the Championship. You also do the Dearly Departed stuff, which I love to catch up on as well. And some of the stuff, I love some of the stuff you've got with the football kits. With your better half as well.
The missus involved with that.
Yeah, that's classic. That's classic.
We were gonna have a word with Daryl, my hairdresser, and do a Premier Championship haircut rankings. But there's a point where then your serious subscribers then drop off saying what is this nonsense? But no, thank you for the kind plugs. And yeah, Benjamin Bloom Football Channel, and we'll be right through to the end of the season. So hopefully, for my sake, as a neutral, it's a really exciting title race. You'll want it to be as boring as anything, and for you guys to have 85 points with 4 games to go, won't you? And it would just to be really dull. But hopefully, we should get a nice title race if Blackburn can hang in there and QPR can keep up. But it may be that we get a parachute duopoly up at the top of the league. But we'll see how it turns out. But good luck, boys, and thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Brilliant, Ben. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it, buddy. Thanks very much. Yeah, really interesting to hear from him. And Neil, I mean, how much work have you actually done today, mate? Have you done loads?
Well, I think my boss might watch this sometime. So unfortunately, I've not caught up on any. Have we signed anyone? No, I think we're all the same, aren't we? I've been on a lot of Teams calls today with like Twitter at my side. Following it as it pops in bit by bit. But yeah, it's hard to concentrate, particularly on a day. I mean, normally deadline days with Eddie in January were quite dull, weren't they? Because he normally would get his business done early, and with deadline day, we weren't really much part of it. But today felt like old-fashioned proper deadline day. So I take it we're home and hosed now.
Well, yeah.
Still waiting for Campbell, I think.
Yeah, well, still waiting for Campbell, and Jacob Tanswell said that there were murmurings of a 6th, but whether we'll get that, hopefully we'll hear. Our phones haven't pinged yet, so we haven't heard anything just yet. And look, we're hoping to speak to a number of fans and a lot of media personnel. I think Chris Temple's popping in later on, and we'll have Jack from the Echo and a few others, giving their verdicts. But from the names you've heard, who's impressed you the most?
Todd Cantwell. Yeah. Todd, because like we were saying earlier, I think some of them you could question. I think Dembele to me is another Jamal Lowe. I might be proven wrong, but I think you're signing someone that is a championship player. The one that stands out for me is the two that stand out for me as potential Premier League level are Nat and Todd Cantwell. So he's the most exciting. If you got him and David Brooks fit next year, that's a superb wide partnership in the Premier League. God hope that David Brooks comes back fighting strong. That's a superb right and left side for the Premier League. So he's the most exciting one for me.
I gather we've got another guest. Campbell. Yes, yeah, very true, very true. I gather we've got another guest, Tiggs.
Yeah, we have. We got Roger here from Gallagher Shots. Hey, mate, how you doing?
Hello, you all right, Tiggs? How are we doing, lads? You okay?
I'm good, doing good, buddy. Love your hat.
I know. I've just been on hours and they've just commented on my hat, so I'm trying to hide me. I've just been in the shower, I washed my hair and that, prepare myself for you. So
of course you would.
Thought I'd just put a hat on and be all black and white for you.
So I think, mate, we're akin. We're like brothers. We've got the same kind of transfer window going on. A lot of excitement up in Newcastle, a lot of excitement down here on the south coast, and we've managed to do a little cheeky little deal between us, haven't we?
Yes, Freddie Woodman. I think it's a great move. I think for all parties, really. I didn't actually realise if Woodman's like 24, 25 now. It seems like he's been at the club for a long, long time. And we obviously had that situation at the beginning of the season where we had to register 4 goalkeepers. Because ordinarily, I think Woodman would have went out on loan again. He'd been successful at Swansea last season. But because Dubravka came back from the Euros injured, Darlow had COVID, and our other keeper, Mark Gillespie, we're signing from Carlisle, so he's not not that we're flush with Premier League players, or not that we were flush with Premier League players at the start of the season, but Woodman was kind of pushed into the fray, and I was before we came on, I was kind of reflecting on what was his form like, how did he do on the, if you look at the results and the goals conceded, then it doesn't look great, but I do feel that he was behind a very poor back four, a very interchangeable back four, and I do think there's a really good goalkeeper in there, and he's got a bit of pedigree. Obviously, his dad was a keeper, and he's got experience under 20, under 19s, under 20s for England, so I think he's got a good keeper.
We think we've got a good keeper already in Mark Travers, so we're not sure whether he's going to be rivaling him immediately. What do you say are his strengths and weaknesses as a keeper?
So I think his confidence coming for the ball isn't great, but I think he is confident. I think on his feet he is confident, because I think that's the way Swansea played as well. But the problem again he had with us was the players around him weren't comfortable with the ball at their feet, so he ended up hoofing it a bit more often than he probably would. So he is good with his feet, and that is a key of any modern goalkeeper. And it's a given. He's a good shot stopper and all that sort of stuff. I just think maybe he needs to bulk up a little bit. He's a bit like A, in frame and in stature. But I think, I don't know what your guy Travis, is it Travis? Did you say? I don't know what he's like, but I think he'll provide really good competition to whoever your goalkeeper is. I think he'll push them all the way, because I think he's very, very determined, and I think he was unlucky, to be honest with you, to be kind of thrown in, Steve Bruce's pre-season, and it was just a mess our start of the season, and we're paying for that now. So no, I think he'll be a good addition to the squad, and I think he'll provide really, really good competition for your current goalkeeper as well. So I really hope he does well, and I do hope he comes back to Newcastle and does well. But I've got a feeling that probably if we do stay up, then we'll probably look in the market for a next sort of a keeper on the next level, probably to rival Dubravka, because he is a good keeper, but he does have his frailties at times. So, but yeah, but you guys have done some really good business.
Yeah, I know we are. And I was going to say, you boys are shopping in Waitrose now, aren't you? So, yeah, instead of Aldi, so it's a different.
We're trying to, but they keep putting the prices up. Yeah. Every time we go in, they add another zero on the end of the price. But I suppose that's the price on the ticket now. That's the way it's going to be. And we've had 14 years of not spending any money. So we've spent in one window the same amount cumulatively that we've spent over the last 14 years. So,
Jesus.
But I mean, what was with that Jesse Lingard one though?
Exactly. Yeah.
What was with that Jesse Lingard one though? Because I think they just realised you had money and just thought, what, even for a loan, we're going to charge them for this and charge them a lot of money. I think I saw £10 million or £12 million bandied about.
Toon tax. They're calling it toon tax, aren't they?
Yeah. I think if we're all going to be dancing at St James's Park because we've been taken over, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to accept that's going to be the case for the foreseeable. But yeah, it was a bit. I feel a bit deflated towards the end of the window, because I was really hoping that we'd get Lingard. I thought he would be a really good addition to the squad. And I think we did try and meet them sort of in the middle by offering them, to pay all of his wages, to pay 3 million up front, and then another 4 or 5 million if we did stay up. But I think the situation with Mason Greenwood is probably affected what Man United have decided to do, because they've let Van der Beek go on loan, and maybe they're thinking, well, maybe we need to keep him until and just let his contract run down, which I think is a real shame for the lad. I think for him, not even if he didn't come to Newcastle, if he went to West Ham, I think it's a shame for the player. You've got to think. I know they earn a lot of money, and he's a multi-millionaire and all that sort of stuff. But I think you do have to feel for the player and the fact that he probably got his hopes up that he was going to be playing regular football somewhere, and now it looks like he's going to be on the bench again, getting 10, 15 minutes here, there, and everywhere. So, but yeah, so it's got a bitter end, but I can't really complain, I suppose.
I suppose, Neil, we can't not talk about Eddie whilst Roger's here, can we?
Eddie. I'm just going to put my thing into 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Of course, go for it.
Go on, Neil, far away. Go on. What were you going to say about Eddie? Because he's someone that we certainly want to do well up there, and was he ever someone that was going to change it straight away? I'm not sure he was, Neil.
No, I think he's playing it clever. I think he's when you look at the sort of players that he's signing players to keep them up. There's a danger when you suddenly get given a load of money that you can go and sign. You could go and sign a player, for 52 million, 55 million. But when they're trying to get into a relegation struggle in the Premier League and it's cold and it's wet, they might be a year before you see the best out of them, because we've seen a lot of signings that come from abroad take years. So I think he's doing really well with players like Chris Wood, Matt Targett. They're players that keep you up. Yeah. Then he's got a project to build from that from then on, and so he has to stay up. That's the first goal. Then he can worry about superstar signings coming in, because they won't come anyway for a relegation battle. So I think the Brazilian lad looks fantastic from Guimaraes. I think he'll be superb. But that is the type of signing you can't have too many of them. So they're not necessarily the players that keep you up, but. Matt Ritchie was the one I was going to ask you about, is because he normally gets linked with us every single transfer window. Yeah, every window. I guess he's going to have restricted opportunities now, isn't he? I'm surprised to see him not heading out somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a few. It looks like early reports are saying about this 25-man squad that players like Jamal Lewis, who's a fullback, he's not actually going to be in the squad. And Matt Ritchie has played left back for Newcastle over the last, 18 months to 2 years. And you guys know Matt Ritchie far, far better than me, but he's 100%. You know exactly what you're going to get from him, but he's not the Matt Ritchie. I mean, he's not a fullback, which is where we've been playing him. And he's not the Matt Ritchie of when you guys got promoted, when he's won the first couple of seasons in the Premier League, and he was a really, really effective player. I think what he brings, I think he's probably held on to him because of what he is on the training ground and the standards and the expectation that he has. And he's an absolute mental case as well. Like he slaps players when they score, and he's just there's probably not a Newcastle fan that doesn't love him, but they all see that he's limited as a Premier League player. And I was listening to Chris Waff, who's a guy from one of the newspapers up here, and he was saying he's looking to possibly end his career at Portsmouth, come back down to the South Coast, because I think you guys are on a bit of an upward trajectory, probably Premier League, hopefully. And then he'll probably look to maybe Portsmouth or somewhere down south. But he's been a great player for us. And I'm sure when he's on the pitch, he's 100%. But if he's playing against players with any kind of pace, then he's in trouble. So,
and he didn't feature much. Eddie dropped him a lot towards his last season with us in the Premier League, just before he headed out. And I think it's really interesting that if ever he was going to get given an opportunity at Newcastle, it would have been with Eddie. And the fact that he hasn't really probably says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he relies on the fullbacks a lot, and I think that's why you were saying he's gone for Targett. I'm just really surprised that he hasn't sort of put a bit of faith in Lewis, who we got from Norwich a couple of years ago, but. You've just got to trust the manager in this situation. Like, I think we do trust Eddie Howe, and we can see what he's trying to do, and he's working with players who are possibly below the expected level, which is why he's had to sign so many. I mean, Trippier's been. We had no right to sign Trippier, and he's been absolutely ridiculous. Like, he's so much. Like when you sign a player and you think, like, how have we got? Like, how did we sign this guy?
We were like that with Nathan Ake.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, we were.
When we signed Wijnaldum, before we got in the season we got relegated, funnily enough, or not funnily enough. I remember watching him against, I think it was Chelsea or someone. I was like, this guy, like, he's not going to be at Newcastle for very long at all. He's and he's proven obviously to be a great, he's a great player, fantastic player. So,
Best wishes this season. Fingers crossed you stay up. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, lads. And I've been trying to keep an eye on, obviously, since our conversation at the start of the season. I've been trying to keep an eye on you guys, and I think you're going a bit of a sticky patch at the minute. But I think some of the signings you've made, like Cantwell, and we could have done with Cantwell. We could have probably done with Phillips as well. So all the best to you, lads, and I hope you have a successful season. So. Please keep your fingers crossed for the tune. And now I've got loads of money and nobody likes us, but we're alright,
and we liked our time in Newcastle, didn't we? That we had recently before the Middlesbrough game. That was superb.
Good night out, yeah. Go on, just look after Eddie for us. Yeah.
Next season, lads, if we're up, if we're still and yous get promoted, we'll have a right old ding dong, right?
Yeah, love it.
Right.
But before we bring in our next guest, just a quick plug for your channel before you go.
Yeah, so we have a channel called Gallagher Shots, and we have a few different shows. My show's called Extra Time, and that's because I am a bit extra. So we have some like stupid stuff on, but also obviously talk about the football. But we have an All of Smiler Faces podcast, which is our main sort of flagship one with the four lads. And so we had Dan Gosling on, and obviously Tiggs was involved with that. And we've got. So we regularly we've got like Ryan Taylor does a feature for us, who is one of our cult heroes. We've got a few other bits and pieces coming up with James Perch, I believe, hopefully, and like a few other cult heroes like yourselves. I'm sure you have your favourites who are a bit random for other football fans, and they don't understand why you love them, but you just love them. But there you go. But thanks. I really appreciate you having us on. It's good to see you again, and I'll keep your fingers crossed for you, lads. All right.
Lovely.
Cheers, man.
Take care. Soon.
Take care, gentlemen. All right. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Ta-ra. Thank you very much. Right. Next, we've got someone who's outside and he looks like he's freezing. Jack Tanner from the Bournemouth Daily Echo. But you're not outside. Is it a green screen? Is this all an illusion?
Yeah, I've literally just got back from the ground just because we have been kind of hinted that it might be quieting down now in terms of arrivals, though we weren't expecting to see anyone come. But I'm still freezing, to be fair. It's still kind of seeped into the so
amazing. It's been a very busy day for you, Tom, Dan, and the Echo boys. Did it take you surprise, or were you always thinking it was going to be a sort of a 5 signing window?
Well, I think the term I used earlier was like organised chaos, where we kind of did expect most of these names to drag on to this like weekend. For like Peterborough, for example, Dembele, the Barry Fry and Peterborough's chairman are so open via Twitter and the press that we've kind of known all along what's happening. And they kind of said that it would have to be done before deadline day. So it was a shock to see that kind of rumble through. And it's weird, Dembele, from what I could tell, was at the ground the longest. We got there early in the morning, and it kind of just went on and on for some reason. I haven't been told why, but there wasn't a major change to the transfer fee. So, but yeah, it was just kind of all at once. I think even at the moment, we're still waiting for Todd Cantwell, but that's pretty much done. So I'm not sure if like the delays from like a media point of view, where they just want to space it out for announcements, but I think Cherries were quite smart in how they approached it. They picked their main target of Kiefer Moore early on the window, spoke to Cardiff by all accounts, got told what the price was and weren't happy with it, and then kind of looked elsewhere. And that's the same with Dembele as well. They opened talks. I think in both cases, they've been helped by the player putting pressure on their respective clubs. By all accounts, Cardiff have just kind of put a sly little dig in their statement for Kiefer Moore, saying that he did hand in the transfer request, which kind of throws into question whether he was actually injured and had COVID. Because Steve Morrison is being somewhat coy in his local press. But yeah, I think we were expecting it to be busy, but I thought one or two might have been done before today. But in truth, it seems like it is a lot of people to sign in one day. They've done it quite composed, calmly. It's not been a massive rush, and this kind of rumor of a sixth person wasn't really anything to it.
Yeah, so I think I'm happy with 5. To be fair, do you think was that true though? I remember seeing rumours about Kiefer Moore being around 10 million originally, and obviously it's nowhere near that. Really, was that originally what Cardiff were after then?
I think in the summer they got somewhat close from Wolves, and apparently, by all accounts, from what we're hearing from like South Wales journalists, is that in the end Cardiff kind of wanted that restructured to be more up front. So like more money up front and rather than being spaced out. And that's apparently how the deal broke down then. And apparently since then, Kiefer Moore hasn't really been the same sort of player. I'm Welsh myself, so I've seen quite a bit of Kiefer Moore playing. And I must admit, when I've seen him play for Cardiff this year, he just doesn't really seem 100%, especially compared to when he played for Wales this season as well. So I'm not, but I think really the main factor there is that Kiefer Moore's transfer request has kind of forced Cardiff's hand. But even then, it kind of flipped, where Cardiff in the press were kind of saying one thing, that he wasn't going, that there's no interest, or they hadn't heard anything concrete. But elsewhere, they were looking at other signings, like Uche Ikpeazu was linked with them like a week ago, and that's going through now. So it's kind of, sometimes these things seem sorted, and then they just kind of get paused and then all go through at once. And it's kind of had that weird domino effect where Cardiff have looked elsewhere. They brought Jordan Hugill in as well. So I think they kind of were resigned to losing him. It was just informal negotiations over that price, kind of.
Yeah. So I take it in tomorrow's paper then, Jack. I mean, is there any room for any other stories, or is it just wall-to-wall sport, or what?
Luckily, I'm the digital sports reporter, so I haven't actually looked at any of the pages today, thank God. Dan and Tom, people were kind of saying, why aren't they in the freezing cold? They probably had the harder task of trying to fit all of it in without it looking bad. So there's kind of swings and roundabouts. So yeah, I imagine it's going to be a bumper issue of the Echo tomorrow, but yeah.
It's just interesting. It's interesting, Jack. I don't know. There were a lot of names banded about. Ones that have not come through, like Joe Rothwell. Were there any other players who were actually at the club today that you may have seen that the deal just didn't happen?
Not that we're aware of. With Rothwell, what we've been told is that Cherries did sort of apply a bit of pressure on Rothwell. And he was another that was potentially handing in a transfer request to try and push through the move. But with Rothwell, it's a bit of an odd one because it's not the first time this has happened in his career. How Blackburn signed him from Oxford. It was a similar sort of story where his contract was running out. Blackburn wanted him in January. In the end, they had to go in for him on a free transfer in the summer. But there's no real indication now. From what it sounds like, as soon as Cantwell became available, interest in Rothwell just kind of disappeared, which is interesting to me because I would have thought that Cantwell was more of a replacement, if you like, for Lawrence. So I'm not sure how much Cherries were interested if they were just keeping both options open on Rothwell and Lawrence, and then Cantwell came along and ended interest in both, because there was no rumours, no talk about either Rothwell or Lawrence today, really.
I was going to go back to Kiefer Moore quickly, just because you said you've seen him a fair amount of times. He doesn't strike me as someone that would be happy to come and sit on the bench. Equally, I don't see him starting over Dom Solanke. But then I only see Scott Parker playing 1. Can you see him coming in and us suddenly going to a 2 up top? Could you see that happening? What do you think? I can't. 3.5 million seems. I don't know. I don't feel like he's just going to sit on the bench. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it did kind of make me laugh. We had Scott Parker in a press conference saying there's no plan B, and then Kiefer Moore just screams the definition of a plan B striker in terms of you bring him on, it can change the game with just one sub. I think Kiefer, obviously, when he plays for Wales, he's not always the main man. There was a spell where he was kind of being brought on and changing games. Obviously, you can't really complain because it's Gareth Bale up top. But I can see it obviously offers more versatility, but it's a big headache. And personally, I don't know. I haven't really got an answer because Solanke's in decent form. Yes, the side's out of form, but still Solanke is playing fairly well. 2 up top potentially, but then I think you'd be missing something in the midfield. So yeah, I think Kiefer Moore's at that stage of his career where he kind of recognises that potentially if he wants to go on and play in the Premier League, he may not be the main man. I think he's had a really weird and interesting career where he's gone from non-league all the way up to the Championship with Yeovil, dropped back down into non-league, gone abroad to Norway, and then kind of worked back up. So I don't think he's naive and just assumes that because Bournemouth have spent decent money on him, he's instantly going to be in the first team. I think Scott Parker would definitely make him go for his paces first to earn a spot, but it's going to be interesting to see how that one develops.
And I suppose, Neil, while you're there as well, we have a little bit of history doing this. I mean, when we got promoted to the Championship, we got Kenwyne Jones in, although he wasn't a big fee because he was a loan, we actually did get stung, didn't we? Potentially because of financial fair play, because of the wages that we spent. So we do like to have a little gamble on a player that maybe you spend a little bit more money on for what you'd expect appearance-wise. But as you already said, if you get up to the Premier League, it's worth it, isn't it?
Well, it's worth 100 million quid. So you're gambling £3.5 million, plus he'd have sell-on value. Plus, if we don't go up, he's a very effective striker at this level as a plan B. But also, you know, he's whenever I've watched him, he's more mobile than you think he's going to be. He gets around the pitch. He's got good feet. So I think he's a Championship striker, Premier League sub. But yeah, we did it before with Kenwyne Jones. We're doing it again with Kiefer Moore. We haven't got that option when we're 2-1 down. We tend to bring on all like-for-like subs. We haven't really got another central forward. Jamal Lowe sort of flat as to deceive there. I mean, I think you've got Kiefer Moore and Solanke and you're throwing crosses in when you're 1-0 down. You've got a far bigger chance than you've got without Kiefer Moore.
Neil, it's been a pleasure to have you on tonight, as ever. We don't know how long we're going to be on for, but we gather there might be something else emanating from Dean Court at some point soon. So I'm sure you'll be watching YouTube to find out just who that is. He may have been playing for a team that's got the same colour shirt as Tom. You never know.
Well, I saw that tweet from a whole City fan saying that we were the most welcoming bunch of people ever, but I didn't realise he was talking about our back four.
That's very good.
Neil, thanks very much.
See you later.
See you later on. Nice to have you on there today. And yeah, it was quite funny. As Tiggs was just mentioning Joe Rothwell, Jack, I mean, how must Blackburn be feeling? I mean, it looked, I mean, there were tweets that there was a club in America that was interested in his services.
Chicago Fire, I think, yeah.
Chicago Fire, you know, I don't know how wide of the mark that was. And then, you know, Tony Mowbray before that expresses, as a manager probably should, you know, he's not up for sale, he's not going to Bournemouth, all this kind of stuff. And then it seems like he's really interested. I mean, do you think there's going to be a bit of negativity from the Blackburn fans after?
There is already, because essentially Mowbray came out and he wasn't in the squad, was he?
No.
And Mowbray essentially came out and said, I don't know if I can trust this player. I don't know. So Rothwell, we put the pressure on Rothwell. Rothwell, all my words can't come out straight, put the pressure on them to want to leave and go to Bournemouth. Bournemouth was a preferred destination. That's the way it seems. So, yeah, Blackburn fans are pretty much spitting feathers. They want him gone now. They just don't want him gone to a promotion rival.
In terms of that then, Jack, were there any signings that in your mind were sort of, you know, like either or, we're either going to have this guy or if that fails, we're going to have the other one?
Yeah, I think mainly that one was Rothwell and Lawrence. The two main targets kind of seem like big target man strikers are plan B. That's where the Andrew Carroll links came from. And I think Cherries were unlucky in the fact that West Brom, their like big signing, got injured. That's why they moved Andy Carroll. So I think Carroll was a backup plan until he was taken off the market. So it was Rothwell or Lawrence. And then when Cantwell became available for a very good fee, that's the way Cherries ended up. And I think Rothwell did actually kind of request not to be involved in Blackman's last game. That's a rumour we're hearing. So on top of that, it kind of reminds me when you're playing Football Manager and you just chuck stupid little bids on players to unsettle them. I don't think Cherries have done that intentionally, but it's had that knock-on effect where, we did mention how Rothwell's got previous for this. So is it sort of a player you want in and around your club? If he's done this once, can you really be surprised if he's done it again? I know Bournemouth did put some pressure on him potentially to push for the move before Cantwell became available. So it's a gamble that's perhaps backfired if that line is true. But it's an interesting one. Like sometimes if you're Blackburn in their financial position and where they are in the league, you'd probably normally just push that under the rug and just hope no one really draws attention to it. So to kind of throw them under the bus and highlight it is a bit odd. It kind of implies that we won't be seeing much of Rothwell. And being cynical, that does weaken Blackburn quite a bit.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a signing, even though it's not a signing. Because if he's not going to play for Blackburn because of what's happened, it feels like we've almost taken him off them anyway without using him ourselves, which is... And
I was listening to them talk about him, and he's sort of a player, a bit like Dom is for us. They haven't got another player in their ranks that does that same job. That Rothwell does. So to do that, and it's very different. I mean, I was trying to draw comparisons, but I can't really. But when Dan Gosling went to Watford, and we were spitting feathers, weren't we, that deal had happened. But Dan wasn't playing week in, week out for us where Rothwell is. So you can really understand why, given this chance. Imagine if you've been waiting to get back to the Premier League. You're on your chance. You've got one of your key players, and when your key players suddenly wants to leave to the team that you've just overtaken in the league. Oh man, that's gonna sting.
So I gather you've not been at the Echo for that long, Jack. Have you been? What was it? A couple of months now?
Start of December. But so my background is covering non-league locally. So I've been submitting reports for the Echo for years, since I was about 15, I think 16.
Amazing.
And in the end, it led to be working for them full time, which is quite nice.
They finally gave in. Finally gave in.
I've been knocking at the door. I'm finally in. But the only other deadline shenanigans I've had to deal with, funnily enough, was related to Bournemouth. It was the Jack Wilshere one. Basically, in full time, we were left waiting to announce the signing of Sam Surridge, funnily enough, because Bournemouth were too busy faffing around with this Jack Wilshere bloke. So that's the only time I've had to deal with a transfer window properly. So it's all been a bit much. When they offered me the job in December, I didn't think I'd be spending January in a car park, but it's pretty fun.
The glamour of AFC Bournemouth, eh? Joined us at a good time, definitely. But exciting. And it's interesting to hear a few things like the Andor and stuff like that with certain players. Like if it's not him, it might be him. To be honest, I don't know what you two think, but I think that it sounds like we looked at Rothwell, we looked at us, and then Cantwell's available, and you don't turn him down. I think he's a quality footballer, so I'm excited by that one. I mean, that's the only one that it sounds like it's going to be left to go over the line. So just waiting for that one now, mate. Oh, I can't wait for it.
Yeah, can't wait. And look, there's someone that's watching you right now, Jack, who's very impressed by your input tonight. It says, amazing to hear you on our show whilst frantically putting together tomorrow's paper. Is that him doing it or you? I don't know. But either way, both of you, all of you at the Echo and all the local media doing a fantastic job on deadline day. I'm sure it's probably one that kind of excites you, but also you kind of wake up in the morning thinking, oh my God, it's one of those days again, is it?
So I've been given the late shift, and so I was up relatively early, and then I was kind of like, what time do I start? And then Dan gave me a ring about 1. My heart dropped because I thought I started late. I was like, I missed when I was meant to start. It's like, oh no, go down Cherries. I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. But yeah, last night I was kind of up a bit late, just genuinely browsing through rumours and stuff, because we were expecting somewhat of a busy day, but you never know what's actually going to go through, because clubs, not like they pull ranks, but they want to make sure everything goes through without a hitch. So we're quite quiet on it, especially like that Nat Phillips, really, I think, 2 or 3 days since it was mooted as a rumour, and then it's done. Like, he was only in the building like an hour, 2 hours tops. Sometimes you've got deals that go through like that. Other times they just drag on for numerous reasons. So yeah, like I said, it'd be my first proper deadline day, proper window. It's been quite interesting to see how it all works.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Jack, we'll all be reading the paper tomorrow. Make sure you check out bournemouthecho.co.uk or go old school. Pop down to your newsagent and buy a copy of the paper. Why not do it? Jack, really appreciate you coming on. Thanks very much, buddy.
Well, thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Jack Tanner for the day. You know what? I think
I'm knackered.
I think we need radio next, do we? Have we had radio? We've had written media, we've had digital.
Yeah, we've had. Yeah.
I think maybe after 10 o'clock, Chris Temple will be joining us. Also, we should have Jacob Tanswell as well, providing his insight, and maybe a few others as well. It's quite an exhausting one, isn't it, mate?
I feel for all these guys that got to do the deadline day. It's exciting, but I mean, even me just on my phone and stuff, I think, I need a break.
I don't know what my phone is. There's a reporter somewhere in the country sat outside a football club that's going to do no deals.
Yeah.
And they're just sat there in the cold.
Probably outside the Emirates or something like that. Yeah, it's mad to be one of the big players, but it's exciting. But it's nice that we've had, we had Gabe on at the start and stuff. He was kind of putting a different spin on it. And I think,
like that. I like that.
And I could see every point he was making. I think it is going to be interesting, kind of what this does going forward. I think what's nice is, in a weird way, people like Kiefer Moore and Dembele look like they've really pushed for this move, which does make me think there must be things that Scott's saying. There must be things at the football club that really wants to push you to go. Because, I know we're in a better position in the league by a long way, but, Cardiff are still a decent-sized football club. And, for us to be so far ahead that
they're bigger than us.
Yeah, and so Blackburn and Joe Rothwell trying to push a move. It shows that there's something, they feel like there's something going on here. And they've both got, I think, decent deals as well, like long-term. So, yeah, it's exciting. I think I probably only expected Woodman after hearing the Nyland news, and probably Dembele. I kind of felt like that was going somewhere, but I didn't expect all these. Really excited, mate. Really excited.
I mean, I think we should talk about Campbell in a minute and what we know about him, because it looks very, very likely at the moment. Is there any other moves going on? I've just had a text here that Sam Surridge might be.
Cardiff, was it?
Cardiff.
I heard that.
I got a sell on for him or anything? Or
I don't officially know. It'd be nice if anyone does know, put it in the chat. But I thought about it. I thought, surely we've got a sell on for him. I think with his age, you would have thought, just because of his age, clubs put on sell on. Obviously, went for Dan Juma, probably more for his quality and how much we knew he could be. But I would have thought Sam Surridge. Dan Gosling, who's been murmured around Burnley, actually, funnily enough, I saw earlier. I don't know if that's going anywhere. He's someone I wouldn't imagine we have a sell on for.
No.
But Sam Surridge would make sense. But interesting one. I've seen Cardiff, which makes sense. Just lost Kiefer Moore, to a decent club. But I heard Forest as well. I mean, we could end up playing Forest with Steve Cook, Graben, and Sam Surridge. Yeah, but
crazy.
I think it's weird because he started at Stoke, and I thought, they quite like him. He seems to be doing a bit, and quite quickly, speaking to a few Stoke fans, seeing what they're putting, they've quite quickly turned to exactly what we were. That he's all right to bring on. He works his nuts off.
Yeah,
but he hasn't quite got it at this. And he's one of them that I think he could rip up League One. I think the Championship, I think he's always going to be a bit of an impact player.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see him do well. He's a Bournemouth lad, isn't he? So I'd love to see him get a good move and do all right. But yeah, the business we've done for him, and then we've got Kiefer Moore, is we're laughing. And Neil Blake, if you want to buy your missus another motor, you go for it.
You know what I love about Twitter and also hate is the football Twitter account. So like Rampant Rico,
classic.
Mount Mepham. It was, and there's a number of others. There's already one that has got one for Soriki. I mean, Soriki Dembele is already got his own parody account.
I like that little goat as well.
Oh my goodness, who's been doing that either way? Very, very good. And you know what? Are there any for more? We need to find the more ones as well. Let us know in chat. You know what? And we're going to take a 3-minute breather now because, look, we do need these players in, don't we? After we saw at the weekend a performance that was substandard, to say the least. These, I don't know how I got 3 minutes, but I did. 3 minutes of highlights from our 1-0 win against Barnsley.
He knows exactly what we need. Get it at the back, select the attack. Balls coming to the Premier League.
Solanke, mate, near post, like, what was he doing? Further away. I think he thought he was in front of the goal.
Great run from States, great run.
Scored a header. Come on, That was a weird goal there, right?
Oh, but it means so much to us. We need to get that winning.
The keeper came well out.
We needed to get that winning mentality back, and that's exactly what we've got with Philip Billing. Come on, boys!
Hey, what happened there? The keeper came out so much.
He came out, gone deep for the ball, went out wide. He just hooked a massive ball up in the air.
Big Phil Billing with a header.
That's what he does, mate. Leaping in the air. It's a season of first.
Well,
take 7-0, I'll take it.
Oh, God. Billing scored a header.
What he did was he did this.
Tom Jordan's checking the odds. What's going on with Barnsley, mate?
They're 16-1 to win this.
16-1. So, I mean, are you feeling confident?
Yeah, fine. Not even looking at it, mate.
Jay-Z's having a go.
Here we go, Billy. That's nice stuff. We still get a second goal, mate. They're useless. And this is going to come back a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're walking this at the moment.
Hey, Tom, we're lucky, mate. We're lucky to be 1-0 up.
They were hanging on against such a bad. They cannot believe they're in a game. Talked to all their fans before, and they're obviously shot the bitch. I feel for them, but they got debutants playing.
3 points is a smoke screen for what's going on, isn't it?
Any decent side would be winning this game against us. We are absolutely miles off it. But you know, we've made a big change by taking off Jane Anthony and bringing on Jamal Lowe. Different game, same sub. We didn't need to. We didn't need to go back to them.
I mean, Tom, wasn't the best of performances, wasn't it? It was a lovely away day, and look, we still got to record our away day video. Might have that online for you guys on what day is it today?
It's Monday,
so like on Wednesday maybe.
Yeah.
But you know what? It wasn't as bad as we all thought in terms of away days. But I mean, the match was bad, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, I really enjoyed the away day itself. Really did. It was a good one. Barnsley fans, I think we've all said it. They were brilliant in terms of it was like a mixed pub before the game on it, and they were really good to chat to, and just I think we could kind of what's the word? Kind of say that we've been in that position, you know, with the owners and that kind of problems, and kind of having a really good season, then losing some of your best players, but they were a real down to earth bunch, and I think they ended up liking us as well for singing the chants and stuff in the stadium with them. But yeah, it was a really good away day. It was just the performance was. I can't remember being so fed up after a win away from home, 1-0 clean sheet, and I was just like, God, that was so infuriating.
People were leaving the stadium. I remember, because I went to the toilet, went back to find Lucy to see where she was. Oh no, Lucy, sorry, Heather, who was doing the holding of the camera during the fan cams, and Robbie Sargent came out, and he was angry.
I know, it was weird.
He was actually angry, and his tweets have suggested that as well. I think he echoed some points that a number of people made about how poor it is, and it's a sort of mentality issue, and you just wonder whether they're being restrained by Parker, because there's been only a few matches this season where I feel like they've truly expressed themselves. Bristol City being one of them.
Yep.
Swansea, the latter stages of that being another one. The 3-0 against Barnsley, where I thought we were pretty good. Maybe I'm just considering the sort of big wins that we've had rather than the series of 1-0s that we got. But we haven't really absolutely dominated teams, whereas Fulham have.
Yeah, I think as well. You come into when you get a new manager in a football club, you go to one of two ways, don't you? So when Parker's come in, there was two choices. You either buy into what Parker wants and you accept the fact there's going to be tons and tons of changes to get that, because actually they're not his players that he signed, or he comes in and he goes, "What have I got? Oh, this will work for the players I've got." And so I think, the amount of change we're seeing is kind of necessary potentially to get the result that he wants. There was something that I hope Neil doesn't mind me mentioning this, if you're still listening, Neil, that he mentioned when we were sort of joking about the amount of players we signed. There's this, the Mourinho idea of kind of like having a bunch of players, you get the best that you can out of them, and then when they're not working, you change a load of them. Yeah. You change a load of them to get that freshness, to get that the mentality that you need. I hope it's not that. I hope that we've still got players that we want to carry on using, like Jaden Anthony and such, because that is probably the concern going forward, is that where we leave those guys.
I think at the start of the season, it felt like I could kind of, accept it. I mean, you win games, you accept anything really if you win football matches. But the start of the season, with the players the problems we had in terms of, Lerma was out for 6 games. I don't think Pearson was barely fit for the start of the season. We ain't got Cahill in yet, or Christie in yet, or Lowen yet. And we're playing Mepham at right back and Leif Davis right midfield. And you think, I'll tell you what, if we nick a goal and then hang on and win 1-0, that's brilliant at this stage. I think we all maybe thought that once them players were back, we would adapt to that a little bit and be a little bit more free and a little bit better, to watch in general, and be kill teams off a little bit more. I don't know. I'm trying to, because it was a really bad performance of the weekend, but we've been on a real blip, 2 really bad results.
Yeah.
And we've got a cup game distraction coming up. Think about it now. Just get that win. Get a few bodies in, which we're obviously doing. Yeah. Just get that win now. Get the win. Get it out of the way. Forget about Barnsley. We got the win. We stopped the rot, basically. It doesn't matter. We just stopped the rot. Get a few bodies in. Now we'll see what happens. But I think the main thing, if we're honest, was about stopping that rot, wasn't it? Yeah. It was. So we have done that, I suppose. I suppose we have, mate.
Have you got the bottle opener, mate? I feel
I've got it
somewhere, because our next guest is having a beer, and fair play to her. We got Beth here, Newcastle United fan. Beth, how you doing?
I'm all right, actually. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're probably the only ones that are just as busy as you, Beth, in the window.
I know, yeah. So. We've both got really busy windows today, haven't we? Like deadline day. This is crazy for us.
We're both really surprised. I think both sets of fans. And Newcastle ain't used to it. We ain't used to it. So, but yeah, we've also done a bit of business together. We had someone on for the Gallagher Shots, didn't we? What's his name? Roger. We had Roger on, and he spoke a bit about Freddie Woodman. How much have you seen of him? And do you think he's a top Championship goalkeeper that will come in and do a good job for us?
I think obviously this season he started matches for us when no one was expecting it, due to injuries and COVID. So I think he's played 4 games in the league for us, and his performances in them haven't been great. But I don't know if we can actually just completely blame him, because I don't know if you've been watching us. But our defense is just it's non-existent. It's it's paper, it doesn't exist. It's shite. You can just walk through it. So I don't really think it's fair to blame Freddie Woodman for the amount of goals that he did concede. But it's 4 games he conceded 12 goals.
Right.
But then there was a game in the League Cup, and it was against Burnley, and it was at home. It was a bit of a shit game, but Burnley had a pretty good team. Yeah. And he kept a clean sheet in that, but then it went to penalties and we did lose. But in that game, he wasn't that bad, and he shows signs of being a really good goalkeeper.
Just probably not quite ready yet, maybe for the Premier League.
I don't think he's that. I don't think he's ready, and he got thrown into it with us when he wasn't expecting to be playing, and it was he was thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah, it sounded like we were going to sign him actually at the start. That's what we were saying.
I'm pretty sure he was down there and he was ready to sign it, and then I think it was we already knew about the COVID cases, but I think it was when Martin Dubravka got his injury, we had to call Freddie Woodman back. But I think it's a really good deal for him. If I could choose any of our players to go on loan, it would have been Freddie Woodman, because he's still only quite young, especially for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, true. They do go on longer. I was thinking, so obviously we've signed a few today. We've got Nat Phillips in on loan from Liverpool, and there's people coming on kind of neutrals that are saying, I think Newcastle could have done with someone like him. Are you surprised you haven't gone in for him, considering he's now gone to the Championship?
I actually seen quite a few people complaining that we hadn't gone in for him. But I think when you look at the defenders we've got, it's not the worst thing that we didn't go in for him. And then we've brought in Dan Burn, who's a local lad, which to other people that wouldn't make a difference, but up here it really does. We're more likely to get behind him, and he understands the situation we're in right now. Yeah. So I think to us it's all right, and we've got a few centre backs we're trying to get rid of. We're trying to get rid of Kieran Clark right now, but apparently he's refusing to go out on loan.
Who would want him? I mean, I've seen this before. I already don't like him because I feel like he's let Eddie down.
Did you see in that friendly the other day in Saudi Arabia? He punched someone.
Sent off. Yeah, I saw that. I also saw Ryan Fraser scored, so
big fan over there.
He's been crazy, Ryan Fraser, since Eddie Howe came in. He's been a completely different player.
It was interesting. I remember coming on your channel, Beth, and we were talking, and you guys were kind of saying, "Oh, Eddie won't like Ryan Fraser, will he?" After what he did to him, and I said, "Well, it could go one or two ways. He could go, right, fresh slate. I know how to get the best out of you. So, and it does seem like gone that way. And to be fair, I am pleased because obviously we all want Eddie to do well. We all want Newcastle to stay up. So, fancy another night out there. And I don't want to go. I don't want to go too close to Middlesbrough again. So
it's weird though because like since we got Eddie Howe, like even though he's our manager now, I'm looking at Bournemouth scores to see like how you lot are doing. Like it's so strange.
I mean,
but
so
I think
based
as well
on
because I hate Middlesbrough as well. So I'm like, come on, Bournemouth.
Yeah, sorry we lost that one.
I mean, based on your transfer activity so far, then are you out of sort of 10? How confident are you of maybe avoiding the drop?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to sound silly here, right? But you might get it because like you've been in this position. It's my team, so the whole way through every week, I'm like, nah, we're not going to get relegated. We're absolutely fine. I believe in this team.
Yeah,
we're going to win. It's like no matter who we're playing against, like on our podcast, no matter who we're playing against, so like I'll predict the result, and I'm always just like, oh, we're going to win.
Yeah.
Like games against Man City, I'm like, no, we're going to win them. Like it's fine.
I'll be the same with people that have, when we're all just talking about football and people go, oh, you think to go down the Premier League? And I can't say Newcastle because I'm like, I know Eddie performs miracles.
Yeah, he does.
And like, just for me, I'm just like, I just think he'll get him out of it. And it was interesting what you said, Beth, because I thought the same. When I saw Dan Burn was signing, I thought, oh, it's a decent signing, but I didn't think too much of it. And then I realised he's from your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I thought, that's smart. That's typical from Eddie. That's smart. He knows he'll get it. And when you're down the bottom, you need players that are going to get it. And the fans are gonna, they're gonna connect, and he's gonna get it. He's gonna put his body on the line, and I think that could be a real shrewd signing, actually, Dan Burn.
Tell you what, though, I mean, you've probably been looking at the news that Everton have got Frank Lampard. It's a bit annoying, isn't it? Because that's your next game, and you don't want them to have that new manager bounce, eh?
See, I was thinking that, but I don't know if Frank Lampard will give them a manager bounce because I think with Everton, their problem wasn't their manager. I think it's the group of players that they have.
True.
Like. It's very strange as well. Like when you look at the signings they're making, they're not necessarily making signings for positions that need filling. They're just making signings, and it looks like they're making them for the sake of like making their fans happy.
Yeah,
so like they're signing players with a name to satisfy someone, but it doesn't look to me like they're signing players that they necessarily need, because the players that they're signing, they're still going to leak goals, and
that's going to be a massive game, and I think if Newcastle beat them, is it right? You're going to be 1 point behind them if you beat them.
Yeah, and it makes no sense as well because apparently Donny van de Beek, he rejected us because he didn't want to be part of a relegation scrap. Huh. But if we beat Everton, there's 1 point between us.
I think that's going to be mad. If Newcastle can drag another team into it,
that's what you want.
That's going to be massive for them. But trust me, Beth, I've said it with confidence. You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. You're the same as me. I'm the same with Borford. I think we'll be up. They'll be still up there. We'll go and say hello to Eddie, and we'll have a lovely season next season with them, I think.
Do you think it'd be emotional, like our fans and your fans with Eddie Howe?
Well, we haven't said goodbye to him. We haven't said goodbye because he left, during the whole COVID thing. So, and that's the same with Jason Tyndall, although,
didn't work for him as a manager, but as assistant, he was.
Yeah, it didn't work for him, and it'll be nice to see Callum Wilson again. It'll be lovely to see Matt Ritchie again.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's it.
But yeah,
what about Ryan Fraser?
No, he will get. I mean, honestly, genuinely, I think he would get the worst reception I've ever seen from an ex-player because there's not really loads of ex-players that have ever done what he done.
No, and to be fair to, I'll try to give a little bit of balance. It's not what he did. It's not what he did. Yeah. It's what he said. Yeah. So he was stupid.
Too honest, wasn't he?
He was too. If you play badly. Fine, you play badly, but don't turn around and say, I've not been trying all season.
Mm.
Yeah.
In an interview on national media. That's just nuts. So if he hadn't have said that, we would never have known.
No.
And we would have sent him away and gone, oh, he had a bad season.
Yeah.
But because he did that, and because his performances subsequent to that weren't great, it's just,
the snake emojis are out in force.
I think it was when we spoke to Mark McCallum of Sky a while ago.
He knows him,
and I remember him saying that it was a fair point.
Oh, yeah.
He said Ryan Fraser's always been he's a very honest lad.
Yeah.
And I think he just stupidly didn't think about it, that it was, national, media, and was just honest and said, yeah, I haven't been trying as much, And then when he left, he said, I probably could have kept them up. And
I should have played.
That was the bit for me. I probably should have kept them up. Don't say that, just,
But what I want is Newcastle stay up and then just get rid of him. He can go out and play in the Championship.
Have you seen his interviews with us?
I only saw the one after the goal the other night.
His interviews. He used to it was really strange because we heard a lot of noise from Ryan Fraser when he was at Bournemouth. But then when he came to us, he was like, there was no noise, there was nothing at all. He wasn't speaking. He literally looked like a cardboard cutout that was playing football. Like, there was nothing at all. And then suddenly we got Eddie Howe, and he was slagging off Steve Bruce without actually naming Steve Bruce. And he was just calling him the other manager. And like just saying, no, he got no game time. And suddenly the new managers came in with tactics, and he was just trying to slag off Steve Bruce, but like discreetly. And like over the weeks, we've just seen his character just grow. And it's like, it's crazy. Like now he's got like this personality, and like to us, that's like, what on earth, who is this guy? Because he's full of himself now, and it's
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's good for you guys. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I remember taking aside what happened at the end. When we first got him, I always thought he's a young, quick player that's never going to quite be good enough. And then we let him go out on loan to Ipswich, and he was unbelievable. And he seems like a very up and down player in terms of confidence. Maybe Eddie's that manager that can just put his arm around him, and he's getting the best out of him now. But to be fair, if he helps keep him up, that's what I want. Yeah, I want Eddie and Newcastle to stay up. I'd love that. So
there's a great little screenshot of him in there, that little meme. Someone was getting a man of the match award or something, like post-match.
Troy Deeney.
Troy Deeney. Yeah, and Troy Deeney's saying that, Watford should have, and just Fraser's face. Give him that is classic.
Yeah, someone's going to have to send me that, because I've never even seen it.
Oh, we're
we'll get Tom to send it over. Beth, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much. Sorry. And also best of luck for the season. I'm sure you'll be all right.
Thank you very much. You too. I hope we see you next season.
We will.
In the Premier League. We will down.
Whereabouts did we go in Newcastle, mate? Was it the Red House we went first?
Red House.
Is that a place called Tokyo?
Yeah.
That
Tokyo?
No, Tokyo.
Yeah, it's Tokyo.
Tokyo. Yeah.
And then
that had the upstairs like roof terrace, didn't it?
And then we just went to Potwell. Let's just sit there for a bit.
But hopefully next time you come up, we'll be in the Premier League and we'll all meet up and we'll go for a night out.
That's definitely
amazing. You're paying. Cheers, Beth.
Cheers,
Beth. Thanks very much. Take care. Nice to see Beth there. Look, we've had some comments about any news on
where is he?
Outgoings, and I, for one, will miss Morgan Rogers.
Is he gone?
It looks like he's going to be going. Hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but it looks like Man City are recalling them. AFC Bournemouth haven't announced it. Is that the kind of thing they would announce, or I suppose their media team's so bloody busy today? Todd Cantwell news. Maybe in the next few minutes we can ask a certain person who is lead commentator for BBC Radio Solent's AFC Bournemouth coverage and on AFCB TV. Chris Temple is going to be joining us, and hopefully we'll find out a little bit more. Because look, have you noticed that all of these announcements are either done on the hour or the half hour? So are we thinking 10 o'clock?
We're thinking 10 o'clock, I think.
Could be a 10 o'clocker.
10 o'clock.
But that's it now, isn't it? Morgan Rogers is gone. Promotion out the window. He's been unbelievable. I to be fair to it, I really want him to go and get another loan somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe nearer the bottom. I said to Tiggs earlier. Yeah. Makes sense for Peterborough, wouldn't it? They just lost Dembele.
Yeah.
Someone like that. But even if it's League One, because he felt to me every time he played like he thought, I've got to do so much here to get back in this team, and he was overdoing everything, trying too hard. And I still think, a part of me thinks, when he scored against Luton, we could have just chucked him in against Hull and kind of said to him, like we did with Mark Condes when he scored the hat-trick against Yeovil.
Well, he's got the bounce. Why not?
Yeah, just give him a game, because we could have just started him wide. But it didn't quite work out, did it? It's one of them loans that just didn't work. But he said he's not a bad footballer. He's been at the Man City Academy. Do you know what I mean? But it makes sense to let him go, especially with some additions coming in.
I remember when we signed him, we got so excited. We were at Birmingham.
I was about to say, yeah.
And he's only 9 million when we signed him.
Yeah. Well, there was that moment we signed him, Man City youngster. And you just think, hello.
And you look at his stuff that he did at his previous. Was it Lincoln?
Yeah,
Lincoln. He's amazing. He's obviously got quality. But I think, there is a case here, and I'm going to kind of defend him in that I don't know whether he was right for the way that we want to play football.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a team that play maybe a little bit more counter-attack near the bottom of the league with a front three of
hit him on the break.
Yeah, he might be able to get people on the break. I think, it didn't, probably like you say, the system didn't quite work for him, but obviously wish him the best. He, and he gave us the memories of Luton, mate. I feel so sorry for him, because he would we'd be talking about it more if we hadn't let in that late goal.
Yeah.
Because he would have rescued a point.
It would be up there with Mohamed Berta's goal, Chucky Arabi,
all
those famous goals. By the way, there's nearly 400 of you watching across the different platforms. And to you, we just want to say thank you so much for watching us on Deadline Day talk AFC Bournemouth. Do us a favour. on Twitter, there's a pinned tweet. If you can just retweet that, you can quote tweet it and say, this is an amazing show, or just retweet it. We'd truly appreciate it. But also give this video a thumbs up as well. We would really appreciate it. And why not subscribe if you're not a subscriber already for the latest AFCB and EFL content. And I don't know. I mean, Todd Cantwell would be the icing on the cake. But, will we be able to get the best out of him? Because I was speaking to Chris Reeve, albeit on Twitter, and we may have him on a bit later on. We're not too sure. If you haven't watched Talk Norwich City, I think it's an excellent channel. Yeah. And he said the following. He said, my thoughts are that I would be very careful before listening to a vocal minority of Norwich naysayers. There's a talented player there, and if treated well, he will perform very well for you, especially in the Championship. That's all right, isn't it? Good news.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I can't pretend to know what's happened. It seems very odd that something's clearly happened with Farke and a manager before. I think we were saying something's happened because he's a talented footballer. I mean, he was one that when we played Norwich last season, it was him, Wendy and Pookie. They're the three you got to watch out for. So, yeah, something's gone on there. But as you say, if we get the best out of him, I mean, he was touted for England. He was touted for 40, 50 million quid to other clubs. I mean, I cannot believe it. Yeah.
And when we were in the Premier League with them, people were saying, hot new star. This is the guy. He was getting all eyes on him. And he's Norwich homegrown essentially, and he's been there for I think so.
Yeah, to be fair, he does feel like I wonder if he has come through there. Yeah, because I can't remember being anywhere else. But nice blonde locks as well on him.
Nice blonde.
Well, he comes with a certain sort of, I'm not going to say baggage. That's the wrong word for it, but he's very social media savvy. He's on, he's on all the different platforms. And
has he got his own logo like TC? Has he got? Because that's what all players have these days. Right?
He's also got a deal, like an individual sponsorship deal with Puma, I believe. So he's he knows how to be marketed, and he's a.
Yeah, I think the hope will be that it hasn't worked at Norwich, and he's thinking, I better knuckle down a bit here at Bournemouth, fresh chance. Go back to the Premier League, hopefully with them, and then maybe I can kickstart somewhere else. Sometimes with players, it just kind of runs its course, doesn't it? And you need another challenge. So hopefully we can get the best out of him. But I know if he plays and he just shows his quality on the pitch, he's a hell of a footballer.
We've got a lot of hungry players now, haven't
we? It sounds like from what we're hearing from a number of Norwich fans, there are the sort of belief that Daniel Farke almost derailed his Norwich career. There was COVID injuries and maybe some off-pitch sort of issues as well. And I think that's when his mentality was really shattered. And when the manager now, who's it? It's
Dean Smith.
It's Dean Smith, isn't it? Yeah. He did give him a chance back in the side, but he wasn't match fit, and that's what he's going to get judged on. And you sort of look at Lewis Cook, and has he ever been properly fit? Because if you judge him on recent performances, he's poor.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. My only concern with Todd Cantwell probably is that fitness side of things. I look at Robbie Brady and think, when we signed Robbie Brady, I thought, he's a quality player. That's a good signing. He's never fit. No. He just never seems fit. So I hope that's not the case. I'd like to think that the medical team and things like that would obviously be looking into that to try and get him over the line. And to be fair, it sounds like with a lot of people that we spoke to tonight that he was kind of the option, because it was going to be, we're going to go for Rothwell, we might go for Tom Lawrence. Hang on, Cantwell's available. We'll have him then. Well, you wouldn't do that if you thought he's the only one that's not fit, surely. So, I think it'll be interesting, but maybe he might take a few weeks to get up to speed. But fortunately, we've signed another few so we can kind of wait for him a little bit. By the sounds of it.
Yeah. Thanks to Ross Stevens for the super chat. Really appreciate it. They guarantee your messages and we've had a load of messages, so we haven't had time to read them all, sadly. But any super chats guarantee that they will get read out. And he said, what a transfer window, echoing what many people have said. Time to push onwards. It's, pressure's on Scotty now, isn't it?
Oh, he's asked for it. He's got asked for it. And now, that's it. We got to go up, in my opinion. I just can't see how we don't. If we don't go up, all right, we've got a good squad for next season, undoubtedly. But, we lose the third year. Yeah, so we don't get as much money. I don't know. We've rolled the dice on the January transfer window, which is the hardest time to recruit. Yeah, arguably harder than the end of the summer. So, yeah, I think he's got to. I think he's put all his eggs in this basket. Otherwise, other questions are asked.
They certainly are asked, right? We were talking about Todd Cantwell. Is he going to sign? Is he not? We don't know.
Say we will.
Tell you we will. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Evening, lads. I'm very well, thank you. Very a little bit frazzled after today, as I'm sure all of you are. But yeah, we're here, and it's been a good day.
You must be like you've been typing and like tapping so much. I'm surprised you got any fingers left.
I am that GIF. Is that the cat on the?
Where are you, Chris?
The newspaper boys.
Yeah.
Where are you? Are you back home now, or what?
I'm home now. Yeah, to be honest with you, it's not been an ideal day for me because I started a lecturing job at Bournemouth University today. So I was actually out of commission for a lot of the day. So my phone was buzzing in my pocket and all sorts. So I've been trying to keep on top of it while also doing another job as well today.
So 4 confirmed incomings. Is it 4 now? I think it is, Tom. 4's been confirmed
4 today. Yeah.
Is there going to be a 5th? Do you think, Chris?
Yeah, Campbell's happening. Yeah, Campbell's happening. Just the final bits of the jigsaw, whatever. And sometimes the deal has been signed. It's in some cases hours ago, and literally you get to the stage where you have to wait for the photo shoot. I mean, that is apologies that I haven't been able to follow much of your guys' coverage this evening with your various guests from the media. So apologies if I repeat anything that people have said. But these days there is so much to do apart from literally just sign on the dotted line and then put the story out, isn't there? So. All these arty videos and photo shoots they have to do these days and things. Sometimes that can be the difference between a signing taking 2 minutes to announce or 2 hours.
I mean, like you said, we've heard bits and bobs today, but in terms of Cantwell, sounds like it's going to get done. Does it sound like that was a player that's come in kind of out of nowhere and we had other options, maybe Rothwell, maybe Tom Lawrence earlier in the window, and now we've seen that Cantwell's available and chosen him, so to speak?
Certainly, I must admit, I hadn't heard anything about Cantwell previous to the last couple of days. That wasn't one that I'd heard, and I've been having chats with people behind the scenes about what might be happening, who's been on the list, names you can put out, names we can't really put out, so not to jeopardise things or alert other clubs. And Cantwell hadn't been mentioned at all. Now, as soon as it became clear that Tom Lawrence wasn't going to be available, and the Derby administrators were playing a bit of hardball with that, then very similar players, aren't they, in terms of probably calibre, in terms of the positions they can play. In terms of the levels they've played really as well. I think it probably is fair to say that Campbell's availability might have become much more interesting to Bournemouth once they knew they weren't going to get Tom Lawrence. I think Rothwell's a slightly different kettle of fish because although, Campbell probably will, and again, apologies if you've been discussing this, but probably you'd think will fill that problem third midfielder spot at the moment with sort of Lerma, Billing and Campbell. Looks like a midfield three, maybe Campbell off the left, but you've got Dembele now off the left. So I think Rothwell, from that point of view, there was obviously an issue with Blackburn not wanting to give him to a rival. I think that was one issue. Rothwell is pretty keen, I gather, to come to Bournemouth, but Blackburn played it again a bit of hardball. The fee sort of went up and up a little bit. And then they had to say, well, look, if we're not going to get him, we'll have to start looking elsewhere. And again, in the last 24, 48 hours, as soon as Cantwell became available, I think Rothwell started to just slip down the pecking order a bit. And let's face it, although I think the rest of the country feel like Bournemouth are signing everybody, they can't sign everybody.
Yeah, of course.
That's an interesting point, though. We had quite a little debate on the show earlier about have we got too many players now, Chris? So I don't think I can ever think of a time we've had a squad.
Feels like we've got 2 teams, doesn't
it? It does feel like we've got 2. I mean, we signed half a team in this transfer window. It's mad. What do you think, mate? Do you think we've gone too big, or do you think it'll pay off?
Well, they've obviously, they're obviously stacking their shelves, if you like, aren't they, in terms of having the resources and having no excuses. Max Deming, to be fair, the theme all throughout the window, and I think I put this out sort of just after Christmas about the strategy for the window was going to be they're not looking to sign players for big money. They've had to spend a bit of money on Kiefer Moore because he wasn't out of contract, and the negotiations with Cardiff, I think, moved a little bit more in Cardiff's favour than Bournemouth probably ideally wanted. So they spent a bit of money on him, but £3.5-4 million in this day and age we know Bournemouth have. I know they've had some debts, and they've got some negative figures in the balance books. But overall, £3 or £4 million towards £150 million bounty in the Premier League doesn't sound like a lot, does it? And also moving towards loans and things that are going to cost them a fraction of wages. Who knows exactly how much Newcastle are paying of Freddie Woodman's and how much Norwich are paying of Cantwell's. Cantwell, as far as we understand, will have a permanent option. So that's quite exciting for the future in terms of if Bournemouth get the Todd Cantwell that we've seen at times. We had a chat on BBC Radio Solent earlier with our colleague from Norfolk who has watched a lot of Cantwell and says this season he hasn't been anywhere near what they know he's capable of. He's had a bit of a fallout with Daniel Farke before, and they've never really recovered from that. So that hopefully a fresh start for him will be big. But to answer your question, Tiggs, in terms of numbers, I mean, I had to write down the squad earlier on and ended up with a massive long list of positions and people and like about 30 names on it, working out who was going to be in the 25 because you can only have 25. Under 21 players don't count, but actually, when you look in the 25, likely if you take Kilkenny out, who's classed as an under 21, who may yet go to Blackpool. I mean, we haven't heard any more on that. That was a live option. I don't know any more on that at this stage. So you're only taking him out, really. Ibsen Rossi's not in the 25 anyway, in terms of, you probably wouldn't have him in there. So everybody else is in. Neeland will come out, I think, of the 25. Because you can't afford to have 3 keepers. Will Dennis doesn't count, so you might as well have him as the 3rd keeper. And Neeland's going to be injured. Adam Smith obviously will be back at some point. So he's a sort of a one in the squad that isn't playing, but probably will need to be in the squad. Obviously, David Brooks, obviously not going to be in the 25 at the moment. We don't know where he's at, but when you bring him back into all this as well. The numbers it's hard to work out exactly the future for the likes of Robbie Brady. And I fear for Jamal Lowe a little bit. In terms of where's he now? He's sort of 3rd choice left winger behind Anthony and Dembele. All of a sudden, he's 3rd choice centre forward behind Solanke and Kiefer Moore. All of a sudden, and he hasn't really found his position yet, Jamal Lowe, has he? Let's be honest. He's been the deputy in a couple of positions and hasn't really found his stride. So the only one I haven't actually seen confirmed is Morgan Rogers being recalled by City, but I think that's a given. So that frees up a place in the squad, and I think it'd be better for him to go and try something somewhere else. And a lot of Championship clubs apparently are sniffing around, but there is only an hour left. So
I was just thinking then when you were, I don't expect you to do all the numbers, Chris, when you were looking through the squad, but is there a chance that Junior Stanislas might not be named with his injury problems? I was just thinking that in my head then, I was thinking, actually, we might end up with Junior not even being in the squad.
Well, there is that possibility, to be honest with you, because with Junior's injury history, can you afford to have somebody who's not going to be available for what's the time? It's probably another 8 weeks, isn't it, for Junior? So can you afford that? And again, Junior, he's off the left side, really, isn't he? So he's probably 4th choice left side winger now. Bournemouth don't play with a number 10, which is where another position he could play. So I'm just fascinated to see really the position that really interests me is Kiefer Moore. In terms of is Kiefer Moore coming to be an understudy to Solanke? I wouldn't have thought so. He's an international player who wants to get to the Premier League. So Scott Parker can't play in his current system. He won't play both. He doesn't like talking about plan Bs. And Kiefer Moore is the obvious cliche plan B to Solanke, isn't he? Or a different plan, put it either way. So I'm just fascinated to see how much they use Kiefer Moore and exactly how they fit him in. Is it just going to be a case of they bring him on 70 minutes when they need to either try and lock the game up and hold the ball up, or try something different to try and get back in the game?
It's a real flip of the coin one on this, isn't it? I'm the longer we talk, the longer I'm going the other way. The longer I'm thinking, well, maybe we are looking at a change of system. Luckily, Chris, I don't think you made Barnsley. You had your other jobs to do, but it wasn't, as Willow would say, it wasn't champagne football, mate. And although we got the result, the situation that we face is really, is the product that we're putting out a good one. Maybe we do need to change shape. Maybe we've got Laird in as a wing back now. We've got Zamora on the other side. We've got plenty of centre halves. Maybe we're looking at a 5 and maybe a 3 up front. And I don't know.
The other point worth making is that with all these new signings, obviously Boreham Wood coming up in the Cup on Sunday. Woodman can play, Nat Phillips can play. Neither of them are cup tied. Campbell, I'm not sure if he played for Norwich. I
think I heard that only Dembele is cup tied.
Okay, right. So
that's what I saw online. Well, I'm not sure.
In the FA Cup at home to Boreham Wood, if there's not a better game to get them in and say, I know Scott Parker's very patient and he didn't want to throw anybody in too early because he wants to work with them on the training ground, but he's got 5 days to get the basics into them on the training ground against a non-league team at home in the Cup. You'd have to say, get them in and let's have a look at them. And if he is going to try and change anything, Boreham Wood might be a very good game to have a look at it in. Surely they're not going to lose. You wouldn't have thought so. It's going to be a pretty bad performance to lose at home to Boreham Wood. So, but then training ground time, my original point was going to be Wednesday against Birmingham and then Blackpool away. And then there's a couple of gaps, but there are quite a few midweek games coming up as well. So actually, in terms of bedding these guys in on the training ground, there isn't a huge amount of time with such a high number. And let's not forget, Laird hasn't played. and Hill has played 2 minutes. So there's 7 players who haven't played.
That's mad. That is absolutely
who
mad.
could all be in the team. Let's face it. I mean, Hill probably less so now than signed Phillips, but the other 6 could easily be in the team.
Yeah. The only other one I was thinking about that we haven't mentioned is Ibsen Rossi. Is there still chance? And there's not much time to go. I'd almost feel like he would be a bit wasted if he doesn't get a loan move now, because I think he's proven he's a good player and he could do with some minutes. Do you think that could get done? Have you heard anything?
He was certainly, him and Kilkenny were the 2 most likely to go out on loan. I heard of a bit of interest in Ibsen Rossi, but nothing in terms of a club being named. As you say, Tom, I mean, what are we? Literally an hour to go now. Yeah. We sometimes see these loan moves happen late on, and I agree with you that I think it'd be much better for him to go and get some minutes. I think he's obviously now down the pecking order. I mean, actually, where is he in the pecking order? So you've got Mepham, Cahill, Kelly, Phillips, Hill. So he's a long way down. And I think the feeling was he came in and did all right, but probably the minutes will benefit him. So. And I would feel sorry for Ibsen Rossi if he does stay and doesn't get any game time in the rest of the season. It would take an amazing chain of events for him to get in the team now between now and the end of the season. So, you see it so often with under 21 players, don't you, where they don't go and get game time, they don't quite make the first team, and you're like, they get stuck in a bit of no man's land.
Yeah. I've always felt like Kilkenny's one that, why is he not had a loan yet? I've always felt that. He's always seems to be here and doesn't, and now he's got the minutes and now he's dropping down the pecking order. So obviously another one that Chris said, but I think he should be,
he's amazing.
He should be playing, but.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Tom, in terms of I'd have had him in a couple of the recent games for sure. I personally would have picked him over Lewis Cook in the couple of games that Lewis Cook played recently. I just don't think that role in that setup has suited Lewis Cook at all. And obviously, last against Barnsley, they played Pearson back in the 6 and Lerma a bit more advanced. They've ended up with too many number 6s, haven't they? Basically, for that system. So, Kilkenny is interesting because he's never really asked to go on loan, and actually he's been specifically not sent out on loan. It hasn't been that anyone hasn't been coming in for him. They've wanted to keep him. I think Eddie wanted to keep him at the club and have him around. And I think it's been the same since then. So as part of their loan policy, it was that they didn't want to send Kilkenny out. So they obviously think that there's something there. And we've seen it at times. I think the only things against him are he's still just a little bit lightweight, isn't he? And that's it's an easy stick to beat him with because he's small in physical stature. But at championship level, sometimes that does find you out.
I'm just hearing Tom's phone vibrate every 2 seconds over there, and we've actually got AFC Bournemouth's notifications on Twitter. So, but you're just really popular tonight, Tom, on WhatsApp by the looks of it.
I mean, it's just me being popular, I'm afraid, mate. But no, I just it does sound like Chris said, it's going to be Campbell and then maybe Rossi. But it looks like the only murmurings I've seen here, Chris, are Hearts actually, and I forget he was at Kilmarnock. Apparently Hearts are the ones that are suddenly looking at him. So
I've got to say thanks to David Whitehead for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Fantastic show tonight, chaps. Brilliant stuff. And also we had another one as well from Stephen Browning, who says that we've thrown the kitchen sink at this transfer window. We must go up at the end of the season. And that's a question I want to put to you actually, because at the back in the summer when Parker joined, we didn't sign anyone and we were reliant on the kids. Do you think our league position has basically determined what they're going to do? Because if we were maybe 9th, 8th or whatever, perhaps they wouldn't have thrown so much money at the project or made so many signings, do you think?
Yeah, I think a combination of that, and also I think a combination, probably one of you mentioned it earlier about the recent performances, where it just hasn't quite clicked. So I think they probably think in the last few weeks, okay, well, there's something about this particular group that isn't quite clicking. So let's bring in some creativity, some energy, some ability, whatever it is, all the things they brought in today. I think it's a combination of both those things. They've thought they've got us into a good position at this stage. We're right in there. Fulham look like they're going to be, right up there as well. Hopefully one or two of the others below them, we've had good runs, the Forests and the Blackburns and the Boroughs. Hopefully they'll be inconsistent between now and the end of the season and can't sort of bridge the gap back. But you'd have to say, like, Bournemouth with the I think now they've actually set themselves up for the division to hate them, haven't they? Yeah. You see comments on social media about Bournemouth signing everybody. I think most non-Bournemouth fans now would love to see Bournemouth not get promoted, given that they bought the entire Premier League and EFL today.
Yeah.
Well,
we bought promotion, haven't we?
The one, and again, the numbers aren't, in terms of money spent, there's not actually a lot of money been spent. The one person I'm sort of not concerned for, but I would feel really bad for if he got replaced in the team is Mark Travers, and I think I've said this before on your show, or maybe on air as well, that his form has got better and better, and he made great saves at Barnsley again at the weekend. He has done it the last few games, made some great saves. Luton made some great saves, and I just hope that Woodman is coming in is a challenger for him, but he's not coming in as the new number one, because I think that would be really harsh on Mark Travers. Yes, if this happened in November, when Mark Travers was still just finding his way a little bit and making the odd mistake and not quite looking as assured, then I'd say, okay, fair enough. It would be reasonable to bring in a Premier League keeper. Great to have two quality keepers fighting for the shirt, but in the it's a big decision for Scott Parker in the next few weeks, because I think it would be very harsh to drop Travers.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, thank you so much. You're a busy man. You've been lecturing. You've been keeping abreast of AFC Bournemouth news. You've been on it, and you've come on here as well. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
It hasn't opened yet, but I can't say it's not open yet, but it's about to be. Let me tell you.
Top man. Enjoy that, Chris. Appreciate it. Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much.
Yeah,
Chris.
did you see what he had in his hand there?
What?
Cans. No, didn't really work.
It's been a long night, hasn't it?
It's been a long night. Ignore my puns.
Rubbish joke. Oh. Right, from one media guru to another, we've got Ahmed Shubal here from The Athletic. Another busy boy today. Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. You guys all right, yeah?
All good.
All good. Doing well. It's been a bit of a mad one, hasn't it?
Yeah, tell me about it. I've just got home. And literally it's an empty house. My sister's birthday is on the 31st of January, and all the family's gone out for dinner. And I've told her literally for as long as I'm a football journalist, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to celebrate your birthday with you.
It's true. It's true, mate.
So other than that, I guess I'm fine. But busy day. I guess there's the one we've all been waiting for is yet to be announced. I've got my phone close to me just in case. It's been a hell of a day.
Is that definitely going to get announced? Do you think it's just a sense of, we've got to get the photos ready? He's got nice long blonde hair ready. Maybe they're trying to get the right pictures.
They're timitating his hair. They're lighting up the candles. There's no light to take photos in outside on the pitch. They've got to fire up the floodlights. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah. I mean, Todd Cantwell's the one that we all wanted. Tom, wasn't it? Or was it? Well, the last 12 hours.
He's certainly one that's exciting, isn't he? Because we've seen what we've done in the Championship before. So hopefully, do you think that's just a matter of time then?
Yeah, no, I think that should definitely be announced within the hour now. I think it's the paperwork. The paperwork was the only real obstacle. The deal was agreed as early as yesterday. He's another one who, we've been hearing so many of Bournemouth's, incomings. They've had offers from other Premier League clubs. It was a thing where Norwich didn't really want to sell to, a relegation rival, as far as I understand it. And it's great to see players with a commitment to want to come as well. It's not just about them picking up a paycheck and just sitting on the bench or whatever. It's these guys are quality players, and they whatever Park is saying to them, it rings true. And I think that's probably the most key point.
From what I've heard, from what Norwich City fans are saying, a change of scenery might actually do Cantwell good.
Yeah. From what I'm hearing, it didn't go quite well for him. Obviously, with Dean Smith the new manager now, even with Daniel Farke at the beginning with this season, he didn't really get a look in. And for Bournemouth, I guess Bournemouth need goals from midfield outside of Billing. He can play off the left as well, so he offers. He's a more natural fit on the left, I'd say, than someone like Jamal Lowe, who's been playing there for Bournemouth recently. He offers variety, and he'll have a point to prove as well. And there's nothing more that I love than an angry footballer.
Yeah. I was thinking that about the loans as well, because I always think with loan deals that, it doesn't matter who's someone's paying the wage. It doesn't matter because they're still getting the same money as the player. So to get a few loans in, I think that says something about what we're building here, because they're buying into something. I think when we had the Liverpool fan on earlier, Nat Phillips, loads of clubs were sniffing around, but I wonder if it's this Klopp wants him to be able to play from the back, and we try and do a similar thing, and Cantwell choosing us. I think that's a really good sign. So, I like the fact that we're getting a few loan deals in. I think that shows that we're building something and people want to join it. So,
do you think, we can learn anything from the players that we signed? In other words, the positions that they play and what that tells us about what Scott Parker's currently thinking, feeling? Are these players that he's had his eye on for a while, or do you think this is because of our recent form that's kind of caused us to look for these different positions?
I think a bit of both. I think with the signing of Nat Phillips, and particularly Freddie Woodman, obviously Oya Nyland's been injured, or he's going to be out for some time. Chris Meffham's obviously has a hamstring injury. Gary Cahill got sent off, and his form has kind of tailed off quite a bit. So I think with Nat Phillips, that's probably more of a short-term sort of stopgap to get someone with Premier League and Champions League experience. In the defense, I think that's probably the short-term thinking there. With players like I think Dembele, there's probably, even though he is 25, he's not the youngest player. I think he's still got a lot to offer. He can play across the front three, and I think it's just more about having that variety. Scott Parker's spoken about his reluctance to have a plan B, but we've seen in certain games he's gone to like a sort of a 3-5-2 late on. What's Jacob saying? Ready? Oh,
so 4 new players. AFC Bournemouth tweeted that 4 players are in, 4 new faces so far. And 1 minute ago, Jacob, ready? It's almost like his fingers are poised.
He'd be good on the X Factor, wouldn't he? Or something. Yeah. It sounds like we're just waiting, aren't we, ready for camp by the sounds of it? But I made a point there that I thought, with the defender stuff like that, talking about Nat Phillips, just made me think, I do feel for Meps, As soon as he starts playing well, he gets an injury. It happened last season, and then Carter Vickers came in when he was out, and then he couldn't get back in the team, and he was playing really well. And I do feel for him. I mean, it's always good to have quality in that position, but Mep has moved down the pecking order again. It happened last season in January. I do feel for the guy, actually. I really do. He started the season well. He's filled in at right back, left back. But he's another one that's going to fall down the pecking order. And it does feel like we got 2 teams.
Well, you see, I want to get your take on this. I'm wondering, because we've been going back and forth on this, and we're kind of split on it. Keith Moore is kind of the signing that's kind of raised the most eyebrows. Now, is he coming in because we need someone to bring on as a plan B, 65th minute, let's see if we can get a goal? Or are we potentially looking at a situation here with the type of players that we've signed this window that we're actually going to try and change system? I remember at the start of the season, our first kind of system under Parker, what he was trying to tinker around with, was 3 at the back with wing backs. Do you think he would do that, or do you think he's invested too much, and bearing in mind what he was doing at Fulham as well, invested too much in what we've already got?
No, that alludes to the variety I mentioned earlier. I think it's he can probably, we've seen him go to the 3-5-2 where he's gone with the sort of the wing back formation. I think someone like Kiefer Moore in there would do very well. I think people see Kiefer Moore as a big man, but he's got feet. He's technically gifted for a lad who's 6'5". He's built like a massive fridge, but at the same time, his touch is quite decent. And I feel like that's probably underestimated. And his acceleration isn't the greatest, but his top speed he can get going as well. So, he's not necessarily a polar opposite. I don't think it's a signal to Route 1 football. I do think it is a little bit weird, particularly with his age as well. He's 29 years old. That strikes me as a little bit worrying. I thought Parker was someone who preferred somebody of a younger profile, someone he can mold more in his image. But he must obviously, Moore's been linked with Bournemouth since the beginning of the window. So him and the recruitment team must see something in him to where they feel, he's their guy. I think I think Parker's obviously thinking we've been lucky that Solanke's played every single game this season, and he's going through a bit of a dry spell, but there is a possibility that he gets injured. And then it's like, I don't really think he wants to play Jamal Lowe up front for whatever reason. And then Kiefer Moore comes in. That's not really a bad substitute, to be honest. So I think it's just, Parker's thinking more about, this idea of a plan B. It almost feels like ever since he said he doesn't like a plan B, he probably kind of needed one.
He's been hatching one,
Yeah, and I think now he's thinking, I should probably get it. But I think I watched a show earlier on, and a lot of people have mentioned this heaps a lot more pressure. There was already pressure. I put together a squad depth chart in the office earlier, and like some of the positions, like the names, the list of players, it was just going off the pitch. There were 5. I think Morgan Rogers has been recalled now, and I'm hearing that he could be going to Hibs, which is not confirmed. That's just a rumor. But yeah, he's so I guess at left wing, even with Morgan Rogers being recalled potentially, it's still, you have at least 4 players out there, obviously including Stanislas, who's injured. But there's just so much there, and I think it potentially could backfire. We don't know. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but we know from Parker's time at Fulham how he treats players who he's not really fond of in terms of keeping him in his plan. With Mitrovic, he completely throws him out essentially. Will we see the same? There are only 25 players in the squad, 11 players in the team, and the amount of players that Bournemouth have now, the squad harmony is definitely going to be tested, and so will Scott Parker's man management skills.
Yeah, it's true. It's a completely different way to try to get promoted. You think how we got promoted before?
Yeah.
We played the same 11.
Yeah.
The only one that
change.
really, Kirby or Pittman.
Yeah.
Got it. And we just played the same team every week, and it was just all about harm. And now we're going with about like 40 players or something. Just trying to, but it's enjoyable anyway, I suppose. I'm excited about it still. I'm excited about it. I think we needed something. Like you say, we've been a little bit off it lately, so maybe we needed something. And I do wonder with like Kiefer Moore, maybe he's looked at it and thought, could I trust Jamal Lowe if something happened to Dom? And maybe that's forced his hand. Don't know. Maybe
there are a few Bournemouth players when you go to games that are not really. They won't be watching this, and they won't be checking in their Twitter because they haven't got Twitter, and they might not even have checked the radio. And it's quite funny when you get to a game and you've got a new signing, and they're going, "Who's that there? Who's that there?" Yeah. How many have they got to look for now? 7 by the end of this window. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. There we go.
Love it. Ahmed, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I know. What time are you going to be going to bed tonight? Are you going to be up until the early hours, or?
He's got to say happy birthday to his daughter, yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of them ones where I'm going to try and get an early night, but my brain's just going to keep ticking away, thinking of the different formations that Parker could play, making passes.
You'll be writing us a nice little article, won't you, on the Athletic? Comment about it. I'm sure you will, mate.
No pressure.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll my brain is at 100 miles an hour now, so I really don't know what. I think I might just go for a walk, see where that takes me.
That's it. Love it. Ahmed Shebal, thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Take care, man. Peace.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much. If you're not subscribed to the Athletic, make sure you do. So, and you know what, we are treated really at Bournemouth, especially this season, with a plethora of amazing journalists that do such a good job. We've had Chris and the Radio Solent lot, of course. We'll have Jacob coming up very shortly as well. Mark McAdam from Sky always covers it so well. Also, who else have we had on?
Well, I mean, now that you come to the Championship, I've got to say, it's one of my favourite things since we've come to the Championship is the quality of the coverage.
Really good.
You don't get as much like you did in the Premier League. It's not forced down your throat, into your face as much. But honestly, you know, no disrespect, Gary Lineker, but give me Benjamin Bloom any day. I mean, the quality of the stuff that you get is brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's been really good. I'll tell you what, I'm just refreshing. Where's Cantwell? Get him over. I just saw a really random one, not Bournemouth related. Aaron Ramsey signed for Rangers. Really? That's weird, isn't it? Aaron Ramsey for Rangers. What are you looking for?
This is a mini telescope.
Are you looking for Todd?
I think I can see him in the distance.
Blonde.
Or is that the Premier League? I'm not too sure. Either way, it's incoming very, very soon indeed. And look, thanks for everyone that's been joining this stream. We're going to carry on until we hear the Todd Cantwell news. AFC Bournemouth, get it done. Get those photos out. I mean, you got work tomorrow, early doors.
I have got work early doors tomorrow. I'll be there. But
what time you got to go? You got to be constant.
I get up at like 5:30 in the morning. So I'll be all right there. I hate that's not getting up at 3:30 in the morning. Who told us they got up at 3:30 in the morning? Mark McAdam. Mark McAdam. I really does that anyway.
Yeah,
I really does that anyway.
Who needs a wee more? Sam, Tiggs, or Tom?
All right, place your bets now.
I've been during the Barnsley little clip. You know, that's why we did it. Tom went halfway through. I was chatting to someone before.
I just got up and
he doesn't care.
Tiggs is the only professional here.
No, I'm going right now.
Yeah.
Enjoy that warm feeling.
Super chat from Oliver Harrison. Cantwell cracking, especially with 2 promotions.
He's had a couple of promotions under his belt, it's true.
Yeah.
And I think we're forgetting that actually. We're getting, you know, you sign all these players at once. Sometimes you think, you haven't got much. I think it was Chris saying, we got Tuesday games and Saturday games. Hard to get them on the training pitch, but Kiefer Moore, Todd Cantwell, Dan Bennett, they've got experience at this level. And it feels like they're a little bit more ready to just come in. I mean, Nat Phillips has played at San Siro. Do you know what I mean? Like, these players, I think, are ready to come in and play. I think that's crucial.
Steve Hensman's money's on me being there. do you know, we planned for Barnsley. We were like, you know what, we could leave at 7, but maybe we'll call it 6:30 because we got the kids and, we stops and all that. And we had one stop at Warwick Services, fair enough.
Yep.
And then it was me
demanded another stop.
We need to stop again. So we stopped somewhere. I can't remember.
But, I can't remember which one it was. Yeah.
No, I can't remember. But yeah, a good trip. Shame about the day itself. Hey,
we won. All right, we won. We got 3 points. I'm not having this anymore. HMS.
Kerry Phillips. I think Tom does. He's fidgeting.
A little bit shaky, but I'm just waiting for Todd. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm always a bit excitable, aren't I?
So all right. Should we name?
Oh,
you know what I'm going to say.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Assuming Todd Cantwell's done.
Assuming Todd Cantwell is done.
We've got the.
Shall we name? Or do you want we stops first or what? No. In fact.
Oh no, here he is.
Let's find out what's going on with the man in the know. It is the one and only Jacob Tanswell from Dorset Live. Jacob, how you doing?
Jacob on the pulse, Tanswell.
I'm doing well, thank you. It's been a long day. Just got home.
You've been busy today, then?
I knew it was going to be busy, but I didn't realise only when you're actually involved in the thick of it, you realise how actually busy it is. But yeah, really enjoying it.
Who was the one that kind of took you by surprise the most, Jacob? Because obviously a lot of these have been murmured. You know, Kiefer Moore feels like that was in the summer. We were even murmured. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was the one that took you by surprise, kind of today or in the last few days, that you thought, "Oh, this has come out of nowhere," kind of thing?
I think there's two really, Tom. I think it's Todd Cantwell and Nat Phillips. Nat Phillips is especially because I was surprised at that. I thought he had become the fifth signing. I thought you get the first four out of the way, and then Phillips then will come in. But it was so quick, and I heard that he had his medical. He was coming in for his medical, and it was at about one similar time Todd Cantwell came in, and I just thought it all just went through so quickly. So really impressed, and I think Neil Blake. I think he needs a good sleep tonight.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, absolutely. So explain how it goes then. What's the what time do you wake up? Are you getting sort of phone calls coming through? How are you hearing murmurings of what's going on? Are people talking to you, or are you having to do the exploring and the digging? How does it work?
A bit of both, to be honest. I think it all started to ramp up Saturday night. So I got home from Barnsley. I went to a fancy dress party as Freddie Mercury, and then as you do, and then as I was at the party, I got a phone call about Freddie Woodman, and then from then on in, everything just went absolutely mental. Yesterday I was working all day, and everything was set up for today. Basically, everything was getting lined up. The selling clubs were finding alternatives. Like as soon as Jordan Hugill went to Cardiff, Kiefer Moore was definitely on. So everything was just getting set up, and today, as it always seems to be a case on deadline day, everything just gets done.
Apart from Cantwell, which seems like it's a matter of time, as you say, we spoke to a few other guys, and we're not sure about maybe outgoings. Well, it sounds like Morgan Rogers is going to be recalled if he hasn't already. Is there anything more on Ibsen Rossi, maybe Kilkenny getting some game time elsewhere? Do you know?
I think Christian Sadie's one to watch out for.
Okay.
I think in terms of Zeno and Rossi, he wasn't training today, but he was at the club. I haven't heard anything about Zeno in the last couple of hours, but it looked to be the case from 2-3 o'clock. Kilkenny was training, and if there's one team that was going to come in for him, would have been Blackpool. Don't quote me on this, but I think there was a link between him and Josh Bowles. I think Josh Bowles would have come the other way. Kilkenny would have gone to Blackpool on loan until the end of the season. So that's what I understand. But yeah, keep an eye out on Christian Sadie. And yeah, sorry.
I didn't think about that. He could do with a loan. I forgot about Christian Sadie.
Definitely could do.
Every time I've watched him on 23s, I thought he could do a job in the football league. Definitely. So that'd be a good move, actually. Yeah.
So how do you see Kiefer Moore fitting in? Because we've been debating it here. Will it be a change of formation? Is it a player to chuck on late into games? How do you see him slotting in for Bournemouth?
I can see him starting on the bench initially, to be honest with you. I think the 3.5 million fee probably shows that. I think if Bournemouth paid any more, what they're quoted 10 million. I saw a little bit what Chris Temple was saying and Jack. And if it was 10 million, then he would have started, or he would start. Yeah, but I see him as that. I know Parky doesn't like it, but kind of a plan B. James Hill's got a long throw as well, so who knows? And in certain situations, when Bournemouth might be going behind, Scott Parker's shown that he does go to a 3 at the back sometimes. So I think that could be something that he explores further with Kiefer.
It looks like Sadie's off to Burton Albion then. Lots of people are tweeting about it, so it looks like it's... Okay. And you know what, Tom? Great club.
Hey, we
friends,
like Burton.
Friends of AFC Bournemouth, we're big fans of him, aren't we?
Bit of a bromance, yeah. I think we're developing a new one with Barnsley after the weekend as well. Nice bit of bromance. But yeah, I completely forgot about Sadie, but I've always thought he stood out in the under 23s, and he's ready for Football League, I think. So that'd be a nice one for him. But obviously, Kiefer Moore coming in, he barely had any minutes anyway, has he, Chris? So yeah, that's a decent move for him. But I wanted Ibsen Rossi to get some. We were talking about this earlier. I don't know what you think, Jacob, but he was so good for us at the start of the season when we really needed someone to just come in and help us out. And he was brilliant. I just think I would like him to go get some minutes. I feel he goes back into the 23s. I feel like he's earned the right to go and get minutes, but might be a bit late now for that. I don't know.
No, I think you're right, to be honest with you, because I think even when he was starting them games, he started at Nottingham Forest, didn't he? I thought he was excellent that day. And even after that, I think there's still talk about him going on loan in the summer. And throughout this January, you saw him playing for the 21s on Thursday. That was it, basically. He was ready to go. And if a move doesn't get over the line, it's going to be quite bad for him, I think.
One of the positions that we talked about a lot throughout this season is our central midfield. And we talked about how we're really stacked in options around there. Now we're really stacked at left wing. Who do you see there as your first? I mean, is Jaden Anthony still your first choice, or is he going to? Sorry, something flying around the room. Is he still the first choice? Do you think, Jacob, or are we seeing one of these new players slipping straight into the starting 11?
I don't think he's first choice anymore, Jaden Anthony. But it will be. No, I think it'll be quite surprising to see Christie and Cantwell play together, because they both like to come on in their favourite foot. They're not exactly out and out pace, are they? So. No. They might be a little bit one-dimensional in attack. He might be a little bit slow, which Scott Parker's football's been accused of recently. So I do think you probably need Jaden Anthony or that type of player in there. I would like to see either Christie or Campbell start to move into central positions. I think both of them can play as a number 8. Whether Bournemouth have got enough balance and trust Billing to put a bit more defensive responsibility on him, if that Christie or if Campbell comes into those positions, remains to be seen. But I think Campbell will come in on the left wing. But I do think Christie on the other flank, it would be a little bit similar.
So we've got players now that like to cut in. We talked all the way, or you've said all along with it. Parker likes his fullbacks to come inside with an underlap. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? That the type of players that we're signing all kind of have that quality about them.
Yeah, it does.
Go on.
Yeah, it does, and. I think in a way, Scott Parker always talks about control. Every time I seem to ask him a question, he always refers to control. And having those type of fullbacks where they can just pick up those inverted positions where they primarily stop counter-attacks, I think that's the type of thing he wants. And I'm not sure if Todd Cantwell is the type of player that will be happy just to occupy a flank and just stay there. I think he likes to get involved in games. So that's going to be something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I do feel like when I've watched him play, he's very similar to Christie when he first came in. He hasn't been as good lately. Like to drift, like to roam a little bit. Probably, as Jacob said, they're wide players that really could both do an eight job. So it'll be interesting to see how they're all utilised. I mean, I'm looking forward to the weekend because I don't know who we're going to play. We're going to have. Am I right in thinking, Jacob? It's out of the players that have signed, it's only Dembele who's cup tied.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be doing a predicted lineup for that game, but I think I'm going to give it a miss. I have not got a...
No, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. You do.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Sariki will play, or Gary Cahill for that matter.
I think we said, didn't we? There's a chance that particularly the back 5 could all be players that weren't here when Parker first come in. Look at Woodman, Laird, Hill, Phillips, Davis. Do you know what I mean?
We always do a thing, don't you? You generally kind of pick your cup team based upon players who are not going to get minutes. Well, now all the players that are joined potentially could be getting more minutes than the players we've already got going forward. So, it's an odd scenario to be in.
Big puzzle.
I've got to pull you up, Tom, and I'm gonna land you in it here because when we were on the way back from Barnsley, he was reading your article, I think, on Dorset Live. And he was looking at some of your player ratings, and he disagreed with some of them.
I said
quite a lot.
I remember saying to Sam, "This is the first time I thought." I normally go bang on as usual, and I went, I don't understand some of these. Got to be honest, I think it was Ben Pearson got like the same rating as Christie, and I can't remember who else there was, but I thought Pearson was by far the best outfield player in my opinion. And I can't remember who else. I could understand Billing when he scored the goal, but I think it was mainly Pearson. I couldn't believe. I think you gave him a 6. I thought he was outstanding.
Do you know what? I hold my hands up on that.
I've got it.
No, I do, because I saw the first half and I kind of just took that. There was one bit where Scott Parker had he gave him an absolute bollocking. I don't know if I can swear on it, but I have. Because he didn't switch to play, and I had that stuck in my mind. But then I watched the game back, and I watched some highlights, and I read, I watched back in the net on the way home. And yeah, you're completely right. I thought Pearson in the end dominated that, and he actually gave Bournemouth some control even during their rocky moments. So I think that's the one where I got back, bang wrong, and I think I get a lot of them wrong, but you're kind enough to only say one, so I'm grateful for that.
Well, Tiggs has just gone off to, I think, give AFC Bournemouth a nudge because he's wondering what is going on with regards to this Todd Cantwell signing.
It's coming.
It's got to be on the. Chris Temple said, I mean, Tom's busy here refreshing. I'm not seeing anything yet, but
I'll be honest. I got told about Cantwell. I thought there was a possibility for him being announced at 5 o'clock. So you see how long it's been since. Yeah,
I reckon he loves a photo shoot. I've just seen, by the way, that Fabio Carvalho of Fulham has just signed for Liverpool.
Oh, really?
I'm just going to see if there's a loan back option. So, because we don't want to get too excited, but that'd be nice, wouldn't it? He's been good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of the hold up, I presume obviously photos to take. There's been no, you know what, Tom? There's a massive difference between. Like, you can tell how busy the media team are now. Because do you remember, like when like Nathan Ake signed and they did the big reveal where he pulled the shirt over his head and then his kind of hair just bellowed over the top and a proper big reveal. But that seems to be a thing of the past with AFC Bournemouth. Because I don't know about you, Jacob, it feels like a lot of our transfer activity under Scott Parker is you've done much more under the radar than it ever has been before. Because under Eddie, we seem to be linked with players at least 3 months before they eventually signed. Whereas now it's just like all of a sudden, last minute, bang, it's done.
It did feel like they were getting linked with every player under the sun yesterday morning and this morning as well. I thought, what is going on? And that's a point where I just thought, I need just to take a break from this because I don't know what's true. I don't know what's right. I got phone calls, WhatsApps from people that don't have a clue either. But you are right. I think apart from Kiefer Moore, and everyone kind of knew about him. But even the Joe Rothwell thing, everyone thought that was happening. Then it was off, then it was on. And then I saw your tweet earlier, Tom. Basically, everything was done. They got, a bit like Siriki Dembele, they pushed the move. He pushed the move. His agent pushed the move on Friday night. And it got to the point where there's basically no return for Blackburn. And in the end, Bournemouth saw Cantwell and thought, okay, we'll have you instead.
I do feel like, I was saying this earlier, I feel like we've almost got Rothwell in a weird way because we've taken him off Blackburn because there's no going back from him now. The fans ain't happy. So we've just, it feels like we've proper housed it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, even though I don't think we attempted to do that, I think it was the Cantwell availability, like you say. But I mean, I'm happy nonetheless. It's, it's been a good day, mate. I've enjoyed it.
Well, usually they're done on the half hour on the hour, but we haven't seen
What
anything
is it?
yet, so they
It's
might be
gone
keeping
half
us on
past.
until 11. We've got beds to go to. When's it all finishing for you? I mean, you know what we're about to do, Jacob, is try somehow to work out a chosen 11. Is that something that we might be able to see from you as well? Because I think we'd be very interested to see what your thoughts would be with regards to the sort of team that you think could be starting based on Todd Cantwell being there.
Yeah, for sure. I think Todd Cantwell, like you said, I think he comes in straight away. Siriki Dembele, I don't think does. Freddie Woodman, I saw Chris saying he doesn't think Mark Travis deserves to be dropped. I echo the exact same, but Scott Parker is a huge admirer of Freddie Woodman. So is Rob Birch. Rob Birch loves keepers that can hit a diagonal to a Jack Stacey, for example. And Freddie Woodman, over the course of last season, apparently showed he could do that. So I do expect him to come in as number one, however unfair that seems.
It does surprise me. I mean, I certainly expect him to come in at the weekend and cup games, but it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. Are you talking 11 for everyone's fit is our best team? Is that what you?
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
I'd be interested to see it from Jacob. Not necessarily now, but hopefully we'll see it via Twitter, or I'm sure on Dorset Live. If you're not, if you've not seen it, what are you doing? Get on Dorset Live, the Cherries section on there. Follow Jacob on Twitter as well, and also follow Cherries Live on Twitter. You can see a number of videos already on the Facebook page, and also Jacob's clipped them up on his Twitter with you. And is it Harry Deacon?
Henry Deacon, yes.
Henry Deacon, that's the one. And I really enjoyed your input on that. And I'm kind of really interested to see how this whole thing is going to play out, because Parker's almost put pressure on himself, hadn't he, with this window? It's an absolute statement, and it's fair to say the board are properly behind what he's trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely backing him, and I think you're right. The pressure is on now. Bournemouth there was a time probably a couple of weeks ago you think, playoffs, settle for playoffs. I think Bournemouth have got to go for automatic promotion now, and the pressure is on Parker, like you say, because no other club has done this. No owner or hierarchy has put this much faith in a manager, and given recent performances, I think that's a massive show of faith, for him. So, given everything that's happened, all the phone calls and everything that's gone on today, the amount of signings, especially Todd Cantwell as well, you expect them to be in the top 2 come the end of April.
Gotta
be. Well, fingers crossed it's going to be announced soon. Jacob, appreciate your kind of standing by your Twitter, ready to tweet as soon as it's out. So we'll let you get back to your phone or Twitter web or wherever you're going. And thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you. My pleasure, guys. See you later.
I've got your notifications on, so
we switched them on. Cheers, Jacob. Nice to see Jacob there, and really good to get yet another take on what is going on today. So we're just busy waiting, and we're going to wait it out. Tiggs was the next to we after all.
I know. I gave the club a little ring. Yeah, phone as well there. Apparently they forgot to put paper in the fax machine, so someone's just sorting that out now, and we should get some information very soon. That will only appeal to a certain amount of people out there of a certain age who will remember fax machines.
Oh yeah, God, fax machines. So I mean, Tom, if we are going to choose a chosen team, that's what we're going to do now, a chosen 11. But I mean, when we usually do it, we start with this kind of 4-3-3-ish, 4-3-3 formation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the chosen 11 website on screen, and then we can go through it. But just be wary that at any stage we might be seeing the news coming through, and we're all looking forward to seeing, hopefully, Todd Cantwell's name.
Can we get a sound effect for next year? Can we get a
what's that?
Like a incoming signing sound effect that we can play.
Well,
when it happens.
What we don't want is a wah, 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 when it turns out that he doesn't sign. No. That's what none of us want.
Do you know what? I hadn't even considered the fact that it might not happen.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Trust me. It'll be fine, mate.
Okay, let's hope it does. Right then,
I won this last year. Maybe Shane Long. That was a great day.
That was a great one. I think we were just waiting for Sadie to go out first, so we've got the money to bring Campbell in.
Yeah, Burton, see if they can pay enough his wages. Yeah. We wouldn't let Burton pay. We love Burton.
A few things you can do if you're watching this right now. 421 of you are across all platforms. Thank you so much. You can give this video a like, please, on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, that's just clicking the thumbs up. We'd really appreciate that. If you're not already subscribed for EFL content, vlogs of every single game. And I mean, Tom misses the goals, but I mean, I'm there to watch them. Don't you worry about that.
I made the goal, didn't I? The only goal I made it.
And also, if you are on Twitter, it'd be really handy if you go to our pinned tweets. Do you want to do that now, Tiggs?
I'm doing that now. Okay.
Pinned tweet and give it a retweet. That's free to do. If you like what we do on a regular basis, you can also support us with a coffee at afcbpodcast.com/coffee. And that's all the monies that we make through that. It can either be a one-off or a regular monthly thing. Thanks to all our subscribers. They're on the Legends wall at the end of every show. That's afcbpodcast.com/coffee. We truly appreciate it.
Zeno. Looks like Zeno might be going to Crewe on loan.
Zeno Ibsen Rossi to Crewe Alexandra.
Yeah, I've just had a few texts as well.
Have you?
Yeah, Rich Neal just texted me saying about looks like Ibsen Rossi. Crewe are trying to beat the deadline to sign Bournemouth defender Zeno Ibsen Rossi on loan.
They've obviously been watching this and thought, who's this Zeno?
I kept mentioning him. I think I've plugged him.
I think you've plugged him enough. Yeah, agent's fee coming this way.
I mean, he's an Italian god, isn't he? In the back, no, he's not. His English, but he sounds so Italian.
So Italian in there. When he was at Kilmarnock last year, I don't know how that's happened.
Lee J on chat says it has to be 3-5-2.
Yeah.
But that would be assuming what? Kiefer Moore's playing up front alongside Dom, or what?
Yeah.
I mean,
is that what you think?
Yeah. I'd like to see that.
I'd like to see it. I don't think it will. I think Kiefer Moore will come on 65 minutes.
But it's too direct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Playing that formation would I don't know if you'd still have that Parker-ball, control the ball style of play. Do you know what I mean? You'd be a little bit more direct. You'd be a lot, and your wingers wouldn't come in.
I certainly don't think we'll start that way. I forget that there's been a lot of games this season where we've been chasing. We have gone to a 3, and he's kind of put Jamal Lowe up there, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I still think at the start we'll play the same, and Kiefer Moore will come off the bench. But if needs must, then we can change to that. But yeah. Oh look, the other Dembele's gone to PSG. We got the real one.
We got the proper one. All right, here's one for you. How come Parker has been backed, whereas Wind It Back last time, and
I got an answer to that. I got an answer to that. Okay. I think the reason he's been backed is we sold in the summer.
Okay.
Okay. Well, how much? What do we get? What do we sell in the summer?
In terms of Danjuma and
Begovic off the wage bill, we just got Steve Cook off the wage bill.
So now we've got wage bill.
$5.5 million for Sam Surridge.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a fair. And he went. Ken would just text me. PK. He went for 2.2 million.
What? Surridge has just
gone. Surridge has gone again. Yeah.
Has he gone Cardiff?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Is that gone? Was that? So what? Have we got a sell on it?
I don't know.
That'd be off for me.
AFC Bournemouth have just tweeted, still up with a wink.
Oh, they're cheeky.
I love it.
Come on, lads, just get it done. Love it. Get it done. Right then. All right. So if they've said that, what we're going to do is we acknowledge that, but we're going to pick our team.
Shall we? All right. Shall we agree to just do it off the 4-3-3 for now? Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Off the 4-3-3 for now. Only day I'm glad on night, says later. 4-7-3 says Ronan. Yeah, my goodness me.
I like that.
Right, okay. Go on then. Let's go. And
now, is this our team?
Are we doing a joint? Are we going to discuss it and then try and make our team?
Is this our team? Yeah. Is this what we think?
Our team.
Oh,
our team. And you know what? I mean, previously
we've got Forest, by the way. Sam Surridge.
Forest.
So they've now got Lewis Graben and Sam Surridge up front with Steve Cook at the back.
That's
That'd be a good Friday night, wouldn't it? That Friday night down here.
I'm looking forward to that
one. So I mean, we would always by default, certain players would be like, oh yeah, that's Travers. Now
I'm Travers. I'm very much
Travers.
If you're asking me, I am Travers, and he's got the number one shirt unless he loses it. Do you know what I mean? Unless he needs a couple of bad games. He's got someone breathing down his neck, but I don't know what you think, Tiggs. But I think he's been unbelievable.
He's done nothing. He's unbelievable. I think the problem with Travers is Parker, for some reason, has got his eye on a different type of goalkeeper who plays, the way that he wants him to play with his diagonal long balls. He's picked Woodman for a reason. He's got a very special skill set. I still would prefer to have Travers because I know that I can rely on him. No disrespect to Woodman, but I haven't seen him play. And we've had 2 Newcastle fans on here today, and he's not filled them with confidence based upon his performances, albeit in front of a very leaky back line. But no, I think Travers has been man of the match too many times for us to not have him in there. He's kept us in games.
Definitely.
All right then. Right back.
Now, when they're all fit.
Well, yeah. That's another question. Based on
when they're all fit.
Tomorrow, you could, you can't pick Adam Smith, but based on a few months' time, you can.
Oh, that's hard.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I still think, because we haven't seen Laird, I still think Adam Smith's our best right back.
Yeah.
I do think Adam Smith's our best right back. I haven't seen Laird. I'm very up and down with Jack Stacey. I think he makes some good marauding runs. He did the same at the weekend, didn't he? He gets caught. People see these marauding runs that he does all the time and think Stacey was brilliant. If you watch that, I think he gets caught a lot. I think he makes some silly decisions. What I've heard about Laird, maybe if they're all fit, I'd say Adam Smith. I don't know what you think, Tiggs. What's your opinion?
I'm going to say I've heard so many good things about Laird. I want to. I just do. I want to see him and Zamora. I've got it in my head now. I want to see that both of them, really quick, really progressive.
But, it doesn't bode well for next season, though, does it? Given he probably wouldn't be here.
And Norwood. Oh, yeah, Smith's got 2 years, hasn't he? But yeah, I know what you mean. But Laird could, I'm not being funny, he could easily, if he does well, stick around, I would have thought, if he enjoys it here and if he proves his worth.
I think that is part of the deal, isn't it? That if he does, I'm sure it is, if he does well for us, then potentially a loan for another year.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's all Smith and Laird pretty much. I'm just looking
interesting, isn't it? Because we know Stacey's a good player.
Yeah, probably Smith.
I reckon Sam should have the deciding vote.
Oh, don't do this to me.
Come on, Sam. Or are you trying to count them in your head?
I'll tell you why I'm picking Laird. Is I'm picking Laird because of purely because both wing backs would be the same then. Because I'm pretty sure we're all going to pick the same left back.
Agreed.
So
let's go Laird.
It's just that kind of they're very similar.
Go Ethan Laird. And with Smithy's injury, let's just go Ethan Laird. Yeah.
Pressure's off me. Right, we're going to go for Laird then. Laird. All right then. Let's go.
Laird.
And but then you're thinking like, okay, player 3.
This is hard.
based on 2 months ago, Gary Cahill was brilliant. There's one team that would be good enough to get us into the Premier League. Starting Cahill in the Premier League is a no-no.
Yeah, and we've just signed a player that...
We've just signed another one.
Oh, we haven't just signed another! Forget what we're doing. Todd Cantwell has been announced.
Oh, I love it.
This is what we like to see. Everyone...
Initially on loan.
Yeah, that's the option. It's pretty good. I like that. Oh,
imagine him and Brooksy when Brooksy's back.
Yeah, and Christie. I'll tell you another one. We keep saying about, kind of feel sorry for Meps, Travers a bit. Mark Condes. I mean, what's he gonna? He's never gonna get in the squad, is he?
No,
I can't see that.
That's going to be a struggle for him. He's just started to get back in as well, and have a few opportunities. But
probably get one last one at the weekend, I would have thought.
Yeah, and I think we've got to be patient with the players that have come in, which is hard to say because we're February now, aren't we?
Yeah.
So you got February, March, April, May. You got 4 months.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, not even that. You haven't got May. You got 3 months to get promotion. So and these players
and win an FA Cup.
And win the FA Cup.
The FA Cup. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. You know what? I love the way they do this. Which player do you think they superimposed his face? Because that is like, that's bad. I mean, like, have you ever seen Don't Fuck with Cats? And that's that's what that Luca Magnotta did. He just like faked his face.
Yeah.
Who do you think? Whose body is that?
Oh,
because it's not his.
I can't.
But either way,
have you worked it out? Or
not? Can they not put the shirt over the top of the thing? Have they ever got? Can they not do that?
No, I know. I think they tend to use other players and stick it on. I don't know. That'd be really interesting to find out. But you know what? He's got a hairband. Tom. We're all over it, right?
Oh, I'm all over it. That's probably why we're allowing Rossi to go now. Now that we've got Cantwell in for the, you got to make sure you got the right amount of hair in your squad. So really happy with that.
Yeah.
Oh, we could chill out a little bit. Oh,
it's done. It's done. Deadline day looks to be done. There were rumours of a 6th, but that's
people think it's Christie, by the way. That's who he's superimposed on. Ryan
Christie's body.
Yeah, I think that could be a shout. And if anyone's going to know Ryan Christie's body, is Steve Ensman.
yeah.
He's on
exactly. So look, we're going to change the bottom of the screen to let you know that Todd Cantwell is. Have we got an option to buy?
Yes.
We have got an option to buy. Super duper. There we go. Todd Cantwell. And you know what? Let's go through some of the Twitter reactions as well. Because look, Bournemouth tweeted this 2 minutes ago, and already it's got 334 retweets. Callum is quoting the NHS website.
I love that.
Oh, Callum, genius. What else have we got? Skip the ads. And there are some more tweets. The love affair starts here. Come on, let's see some more.
We are a massive club.
We are a massive club.
Has Neil Blake bought his missus a new car yet? Because she's earned one. Because he has done a hell of a job today. In Richard Hughes, the club. Talk about backing Scott Parker. Fantastic.
About time. UTC IAD. What else have we got? No, this isn't fair. How are they going to compete? Oh yeah.
I love this one.
Oh yeah. He's tasting promotion. Thog Dad. Boom. Get in. We've got a woohoo as well. Cheers, admin. Go to sleep now. What else have we got? Loads of gifts are coming out now. Oh, Andy Tate's there as well. Oh mate, it's absolutely superb, and everyone on chat is absolutely loving it as well. That is our deadline day. That's pretty damn good, isn't it?
I'll take it. I'll take it. As I say, it's kind of, I'd say, on par with last year's with Shane Long. Do you know what I mean? We had to compete with the Shane Long side of last year, so probably not like it. Look, you've covered my face there. All right, it's all right, it's gone. What a window. What a window.
I did not expect that a week ago.
No.
Did you?
No, and I do wonder if the forms probably dictated a little bit, but
Tim Spencer, has anyone checked in on Adrian Durham? I mean, we tried to get him on to talk about Sariki Dembele, but obviously he's too...
Bought the league, haven't we? We bought the league, boys.
Bought the league, yeah. HMS by the league.
HMS
by the way, I just saw that the Liverpool deal is not as good as we thought, because the deal to sign Carvalho from Fulham, he goes back on loan for the rest of the season.
Okay.
So he stays there, he leaves in the summer. Okay. Because obviously they're thinking long term for him.
Yeah,
but still a blow for Fulham to know they're going to lose him, because he's a real good young talent for them, isn't he?
Look, there's we'll go off at 11, so we'll wrap this up.
Should we all say now that player 4 is Zamora and player 2 is Lloyd Kelly? We'll agree on that. Should
Yeah.
we write them two in?
Yeah.
Because we've got the skipper and then we've got Jordan Zamora.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
player 3 is definitely one for contention. As we were going to say about, because you can kind of say, well, you got Kale. I don't think we're going to say any of us are going to say Hill. I think we're going to say Kale, Mepham, or Nat Phillips. And I personally am going to go Nat Phillips.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think that's your. I mean, that I'm looking that back line. That is a
Premier League
back four. Yeah,
and keeper and backup keeper and backup. Yeah, it's got to be Nat Phillips, isn't it? Not Ethan.
Night, Ethan. No night, mate. Have a good day at school tomorrow, buddy. Appreciate you hanging around tonight. Excellent stuff. So yeah, Nat Phillips.
Yep. Big Nat.
Big Nat. Right. Okay then. So are we doing this?
I mean, if any of you say not to start Lerma, where are we putting him?
So hang on a sec. So where does Cantwell play exactly? Where are we going to?
He could play. He could probably play in a 10 role, in an 8 role, in a out wide left, probably out wide right.
Do whatever he wants.
I'd probably say similarly to Ryan Christie, maybe a bit more on the other side.
Yeah, on the left. Yeah.
Would he play off? I reckon he'll probably start off over on that left hand side. Maybe. I don't know what you guys think. I think Lerma is best in the 6. I know some people like him box to box a bit more, but we saw him at the weekend at Barnsley. I don't think he looks as good there.
No.
Don't get me wrong. We've got options with Pearce and that, but personally, I would put, and I'll tell you what I like. I don't know if you two agree. If Lerma's in that 6, what we also we done it at Swansea. We spoke about that. Zamora and Laird bomb on, and he can just sit and almost make it a back 3.
Yeah.
And I think he's really good at that. So unless anyone disagrees, put my man Jeff in there now.
Now let's do it.
Right. Okay. Are we going an informed Phil Bill for player 7?
We've got to put Bill.
Yeah.
We've got to put Billy Boy.
Yeah.
Not how he's playing at the moment, but he did get the winner. So yeah, we've got to go Billy. And Heather is on chat. So we have to put Billy in.
Heather's still there. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Sorry, Heather. Yeah, we're going to have to put him in there for you. Player 8.
Oh, this is difficult, isn't it? What are you doing here? Player 8.
So this is the hard one, isn't it?
I would. Oh God, it's so difficult. I'm trying to work out what I'd do here. Player 8 want to be a little bit more box to box.
Or does this point to a formation change?
Yeah, I mean it potentially does. I think on form, Lewis Cook, but he's just not been on form. What do we do there?
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't want Lerma and Pearson.
No, I know.
Really, ideally, unless you play Lerma more advanced. But now you've got players who, I think Lerma's amazing. You've got players who are better in that 8 than Lerma.
Steve said Cantwell.
Shall we put Cantwell there? I was thinking about putting Cantwell off the left, but I reckon maybe let's go What about putting Cantwell in that middle? That gives something different.
Yeah, and maybe you could argue you could switch Billing and Cantwell.
Yeah.
They've done that before. Billing's done that before. He's coming to that.
And we're doing this off just because we're just doing this off what we've been playing lately. With the system could change quite clearly.
Steve Hensman, influencer.
Oh, he always has been. Always has been.
Love it. So Ryan Christie, I presume, would be
10.
But has he been that good?
Not lately. I agree with that. But I think the other players are probably more natural off that left-hand side.
Agree.
Which is probably giving him a boost.
Okay.
To be fair, if we're talking about when all fit, David Brooks.
Yeah.
But we've got to put it into context of what's going on with Brooksy at the moment. So I think Christie, we've seen how good he is. I think he's just had a bad little spell, but I do like Ryan Christie. Yeah.
All right, player 9. I mean,
for me, it's not low.
No.
For me, it's between Anthony and Dembele, or Cantwell, and you move someone in there.
Yeah.
So loads of different options. Come on, chat. Anthony or Dembele.
Come on, chat.
Come on, chat. I want to go to bed. Come on, chat. I don't really.
Does Dembele just play off the left side, or can he play right side?
He has played right, but I think he mostly off the left, and I think he's played now and again.
So what about Christie, where Cantwell is, and then
all shout.
Oh,
well, then Cantwell off the left and maybe Dembele off the right.
Yeah,
it's a good option. I think if we put Dembele in, we know that Dembele, Cantwell, and Christie could all do that if they needed to.
All 4 of them could almost play as a diamond.
Let them I'd chuck them all out there and just let them do this.
Tell them they haven't got a position.
I mean, is that what Scott Parker says?
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit more regimented.
Monkey rush goalkeeper. Just go out, lads. Just score goals.
And Kiefer Moore up front,
I mean, if we had Sam Surgery then. Shane Long. No, we'll go. It's got to be Dom.
Yeah, all day long.
All right, there we go. But this could easily change.
Yeah.
Right, we are drawing 0-0 at home to a team in 20th. Whoever that would be.
Yeah, Peterborough.
Peterborough. Now what? What does he do?
I think he probably, depending on how they're playing, obviously, I'm going to say take off Dembele, move Cantwell to the left,
yes,
bring on Moore,
yes,
and you go 4-4-2.
Yes.
And let's have some.
So, right, what? Tell me, I say that again. Say what?
Dembele, get out.
Dembele, you're off.
Yeah,
you're off. Sorry,
okay.
Cantwell, you're going over the left, fella.
So Cantwell's going where he was.
Yeah, he's going off.
Yeah.
And then get Lerner up a bit.
Get Lerner, right. Okay, so, yeah.
Dembele's off.
Moore's in.
Moore's going up front.
Right.
4-4-2. And then maybe you take Billing out and move in a Lewis Cook and make it more of a natural 4. Or then we get the goal. No, that's what happens. Moore's on. Then we get the goal. Keep Moore header. Straight away.
Literally seconds.
Oh, no, what do? We can't take Moore off. We don't want to take them. We'll take Billing off and we'll bring on a Pearson or Lewis Cook.
Okay.
Got what I'm saying. And then 90th minute, we just bring on anyone just to run the clock down.
Why are you not managing this club, mate?
No.
I do wonder sometimes.
Well, you see, Tom's made a mistake there because actually what we would do if we were 1-0 up is we'd bring on another defender, wouldn't we?
Yeah, Cahill. Cahill on for Dorm if we score. There you go, about 5. But there's so many caveats. And even I've had a big part to play in that 11 and I'm still not sure if it's right. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's my favourite. Because there's so many different options we could do.
That's crazy.
You could go into so many systems, which is the flexibility we've got now for a promotion push is rather nice.
As long as we don't keep chopping and changing. Like,
yeah,
I think that was the one thing under Woodgate that helped.
True.
Like, he just didn't muck around.
Tyndall almost tinkered too much, maybe.
Yeah.
So there's always that balance, isn't there? You've got to have that consistency, partnerships, and develop and things like that. So be interesting,
gentlemen. It's been a long evening, and we barely even spoke about Barnsley. And you know what? Maybe we'll have to do another little recap on the Barnsley match at some point. But we'll integrate it into our away day experience. Shall we do that? Yeah, shall we do that? Thank you so much to everyone that has watched tonight. It's been a very, very busy stream, and look, it's been a very, very busy day for AFC Bournemouth. Credit to all the staff at AFC Bournemouth, the top man all the way down to the people that have been opening the doors for the superstars to walk in. The media team have been exceptional today, doing what they do. Wadmin, as many people say. It's been really good to see. And look, if you go to afcb.co.uk and then click on AFCB TV, I'm sure there's going to be content all day tomorrow as we get all sorts of reaction after what was a fantastic time. Remember, thumbs up, please. Really appreciate it. And any closing words, Tiggs?
I'm just going to read this from Championship Chat. Freddie Woodman, Nat Phillips, Sariki Dembele, Todd Cantwell, Kiefer Moore. Bournemouth could be about to experience the greatest deadline day of any Championship club in history. Oh! Mind blown emoji.
HMS, splash the cash to the title.
Thanks for watching.
It's happening.
We'll see you in the next one. Up the chest!
Come on!